What's up, buddy? How are you? How you feeling?
I'm glad I didn't wear my Yankee shirt. I was going to wear one. We're going to look like two doofuses.
We did that last week.
Yeah. We can. Next time, call me. Call me. Ask me what I'm wearing. Give me a courtesy. Say, what are you wearing? What are you wearing?
I mean, do you really care?
I don't really give a fuck about nothing anymore.
Well, there you go. So
I don't care about nothing no more. I do care about this, though. Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world. I just added one yesterday, a cab driver. I got his name. I added him. Fucking douchebag,
What did he do?
Oh, you don't want to put the air conditioner.
Did he not say hello? He didn't recognize you and you got upset? Or what?
No. He didn't put the air conditioner on.
Did you ask him?
Yeah, it's broke. They give you that bullshit. It's broke. Then they also.
Well, you know what you should do? Just say, "Well, pull over and let me get out." That's what you should do.
I had to go somewhere. I didn't have time.
No, but that's what I do. If they're going to give me a problem, I say, "Well, pull over. I'll get someone else."
They give you that bullshit. Then the old cash only. The machine don't work. That bullshit. Which is why Uber has kicked cab drivers' ass.
You should say you don't have any cash. There you go. Then what are they going to do?
And then I got another big headache. So my life becomes some big fucking thing.
Well, it will if that's how you perceive it.
It's easier to just put them on the Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world list. It's much easier, simpler, cleaner. And
you should attend my meditation class. You should become a Buddhist. You got to become a Buddhist, and then all this stuff won't bother you as much.
Yeah, I see you. You're so fucking zen. Last week you went off the rails.
No. I was passionate about something I'm defending. That's a different thing. These cab drivers don't get me upset. I'll just get out.
Cab drivers get me upset. People in the grocery store gets me upset. Basically, in New York City, you go out of the house, you're basically going to get your balls broke and twisted. Basically, that's
only if you allow it.
In California, things are much more, where I live there, it's much more calmer.
I'm much happier being in New York than California, I have to say. There you go.
Well, you like to go around getting recognized,
No, I don't get recognized.
You wear soprano shirts.
I never wear soprano shirts.
On the back.
I have a beard and I wear sunglasses. Nobody knows who the hell I am. And a mask. I still wear a mask a lot.
Now you gotta. I hear you loud and clear. You go around, hi, I'm Chrissy.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You carry your Emmy Award around through Central Park?
I carried on a little cart behind me, like a little wagon.
I would have. But today we got a great show. An absolute great show. Two great actors. We got Willie DeMeo.
Played Jason. Yeah.
Played Jason. He's done great stuff.
He's a writer, director, actor, producer. He's a multi-talented guy. Kind of an expert at getting it done independently. He's done not only movies, independent television series on Amazon. I've never heard of that. Yeah. This is groundbreaking stuff.
And you know what the good thing about Willie, like you said, Michael, he gets it done.
Gets it done, and he's a humble guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's a good guy. He's
Brooklyn guy,
a real guy. I like
very well liked. Yeah, very well liked. He's got a clothing line. So Willie DeMeo from Gravesend, Brooklyn is here. And Joe Maruzzo, who played Joey Peeps, great playwright, great actor. He's been around a long time. He's done some good work. He's a great interview. People are going to look forward to that. Jason was the one, coincidentally, he's the one that had the tombstone made, calling him Joe Peeps.
Jason made Joe Peeps, and we're having both of them on the show today. All right.
Coincidental. So that's good. And also, you've all asked us about our restaurants, what we like, our favorite restaurants. Go to the website, TalkingSopranos.com, and it's there. Our favorite restaurants.
Favorite restaurants, not only in New York, but all around America and even some in other countries. We're also working on our shit list of restaurants to not go to, restaurants that we recommend you not going to.
Absolutely.
That's coming soon, too.
Absolutely. Plenty of those.
A lot of those.
I don't do Yelp. I don't like me personally, if I don't like a restaurant, I'm not the guy. I don't like write a review. This sucks. Don't go. Take pictures of my food. I don't do that. I just never go back.
No, I do it on the podcast. That's my new thing.
You're going to start motherfucking people
on the podcast, yeah.
Shitty service. I walked in.
Yeah. I think that's the way to do it.
They throw their. Remember when we were in a place called Social? I don't even know if it's still there. Me and you were in the East Village, the Lower East Side for some reason years ago, and we went up to have a drink, and it was like an angry actor bartender, like a bartender who took acting classes, but he never got a job, and he took it out on us. My shot of tequila was this big, and your drink, he just like basically threw it at us, like.
Man, your memory.
Yeah.
Your memory of slights and grievances is like an elephant. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody like you.
Well.
You remember not only what we had at this bar, how much the guy poured, the fact that he was an actor. I mean, it's incredible.
Angry actor. There's a lot of angry actors tending bar, and they get mad at people that are working. Now, the funny thing is you say that, and I do remember that. Unfortunately, it's human nature. I don't remember when people come up and say, hey, I enjoy your stuff. Hey, you were great. I love the podcast. Love your books. I don't remember that as much as when somebody treats me like a fucking asshole.
Or the bartenders that gave you good pours. You don't remember them as much.
Down at Harry's, Danny, Frankie, Sal, great pours. Leonard at Walker's, great pours.
Leonard at Walker's is he's maybe one of the best bartenders in New York City.
In New York City, legendary guy. I got a guy, Mario, over here at Morty's Wine Bar. A good pour. He's not stealing from the owner, just a good, generous pour.
Yeah.
At your bar, when you owned the bar, I'm sure you gave good drinks.
Of course. You don't stay in business long if you don't cultivate regular clientele. If you work in like a tourist place, a busy place where people come in and out in a touristy area, then it's different. You want to cultivate regulars, you got to give good pours.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Come on. Listen, we know what liquor costs. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. I'm looking forward to your shitty restaurant reviews.
You know what I hate? When they measure the pour. You should know. You should be able to, by eye, figure it out. Don't measure out a pour. That's just amateur hour.
But a lot of time it's the owner.
That's the bad. Owner.
It's
stupid.
Sure, it's bad. It's bad business.
Bad business.
Well, you won't be in business a long time. So, what's your biggest beef when you go into a restaurant?
Biggest beef is when they don't acknowledge you right away. Like, when they're on the phone or they're doing that goes for anywhere. A customer comes into your business, you should stop whatever it is you're doing and at least greet them, let them know you're in the middle of something, you'll get right back to them. Don't let them stand there like idiots. Often I'll just walk right out.
Yeah, no, me too.
Me too. And then it's like when a place is empty and they give you kind of a crappy table, like far, it's just like if it's empty, sit wherever you like. Where would you like to sit? Yeah. That's another thing. That's right at the beginning. You know what I mean? Then it's if they make you wait too long to bring the menu. Or, what I really hate? When there's 4 people working, like behind a counter somewhere, and they're taking care of one person. And someone else walks in, and there's 4 people dealing with this one issue. That drives me insane.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. But you can't own a restaurant, honestly, and expect other people to do a good job. If you're not there, you're going to go out of business. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, you have to be on top of it. I also don't like, when people kind of rush you, like because they're in a rush. So they throw the menu down, they rush away. It's just like,
They want the next guy, turn them and burn them. There's a lot of restaurants.
I don't like that at all.
Moving on. I also, a big beef for me is when they have a special and they'll come over and they'll say, all right, hi, so then we're going to tell you the specials tonight. We have an ossobuco, we have a swordfish, we have this. How much is the motherfucker? I have no problem. I'm not intimidated. I'll say, how much is the ossobuco?
That's
because
good.
You'll get it. And you'll say, you know what, that sounds good. Give me that. And it's $50, $60 fucking dollars.
Right. Whoa. And everything else on the menu is $30.
Exactly. So, and a good waitress will say, I have this, or a good waiter, I have this, it costs blah, 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 blah. You shouldn't have to keep asking to fill up your water. There's so many things. And you know what? The first person you see is the hostess or the maitre d'.
Yeah.
That sets the tone.
They got to be friendly. They should make you feel like you're welcome there, not like you're going to try to squeeze you in. I think you're supposed to say waitron, not waiter or waitress.
It's waitron now?
I think so. I think that's the politically correct term. Although that might be a robot waiter, waitron. I'm not sure. I may be confused.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of fucking time. Hey, there's a lot of, we could talk a lot about restaurants. We're both restaurant people.
Listen, I was a waiter for many years at many different restaurants. So when anybody who was a waiter knows how to treat waiters. Yeah. You treat them with respect. You look in their eyes. You smile. You give a good tip, especially if they give good service, if they go above and beyond. You're patient. I'm not impatient, but you have to acknowledge the customer. You have to make them feel welcome. There's too many, especially in New York, there's too many choices.
No, absolutely. And it's not cheap. It's not like, you go and you say, well, what do you want? It was $40 dinner for two. What do you expect? This is fucking, $300 dinner for two, and I do expect good service.
Well, I went to a restaurant in Florida. I'm not going to say which one because they're decent people there. Very expensive Italian restaurant. Uh-huh. There was a roach. They brought over some food. And there was a roach in one of the salads. So I call the waiter over. Now, I don't want to make a big scene. I call the waiter over and I tell them, and he looks up at the ceiling. I don't know why.
To see if they fell off the ceiling.
And he said, okay, I'll be right back. And then he brings over the manager. Then the manager recognizes me and gets really embarrassed. And he says, I'm really sorry. I think we had already had appetizers and drinks. He said, of course, there's no check for you. Would you like some dessert? And I wanted to say, yeah, do you know a good place? I said, no, we don't want dessert. They said this, we're dealing with it. I think they were closed for a long time because of COVID. They're dealing with it. Please come back. We want to buy you dinner. They did the right thing. I was at another restaurant once, and
will you go back there?
It's going to be a while.
Okay.
But I had been there many times. It's very good. But I was at another restaurant once, and they forgot to bring one of the entrees or one of the appetizers, something like that. So at the end, I said, they brought the check. I said, this is on the bill, but we never got it. And the guy said, do you want me to take it off the bill?
Yeah, that's the worst when they bring the entrees out. Not at the same time. Like I'm eating alone.
No, this never came. We never got it. I'm saying, do you want me to take it off the bill? No, I really want to pay for stuff that I never have. Well, that makes no sense.
There's a restaurant in Laguna Niguel. I know the owner a few years ago. I'm there with my two daughters. They're younger, my wife. He sits down with us. I know the guy a long time from Brooklyn. He's a douchebag. We eat. He eats with us. I get the bill. His fucking entree, the owner's entree, is on my bill.
Whoa. Where was this? In Brooklyn?
No, in Laguna.
In Laguna.
How's that fucking move?
And what did you say?
I said, what the fuck is this? I'm paying for your dinner? No, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. It was no mistake.
It was, he took a shot.
Took a shot. A lot of times, especially they think you're a celebrity, that you don't even look at the bill. I look at my fucking bill. I
look at the bill. Got a special guest who is also an authentic New Yorker. He grew up in your neck of the woods, Steve.
Bensonhurst.
Right?
Grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, where I'm from. He's younger than me. Nice guy. He wrote, produced, and starred in several films, including Wannabe, Searching for Bobby D, Once Upon a Time in Brooklyn, and his current show is Gravesend, which airs on Amazon. He's appeared in 42 movies and TV shows, including A Bronx Tale, Analyze That, First Kill, Blue Bloods, Gotti. He played Sammy the Bull Gravano. He appeared in 8 episodes of The Sopranos as Jason Molinaro. He was a member of Paulie Walnut's crew. I had a very nice basketball scene with him. He's a real New York Brooklynite, and I'm happy to have him here. Let's hear it for William DeMeo, ladies and gentlemen. Willie DeMeo.
There he is. Welcome,
Willie, how
guys.
you doing, pal?
Welcome to the show,
great.
Willie.
It's great to see you both. I'm honored to be here with you guys today.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. So, Willie, you grew up in Bensonhurst, which where I'm from. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Bishop Ford.
So you went to Bishop Ford. Did you get the acting bug there? Were you in school plays and stuff? How'd the acting come about?
Well, just from, always watching, these movies, like it started with from, Spike of Bensonhurst. When they started with that film, I was like so thrilled about, then Out for Justice, another movie about Brooklyn. And I always was hoping that I would get a chance to do something, and never took acting classes at first. But when Robert De Niro was doing A Bronx Tale, he was just looking for authentic people, neighborhood people. And I winded up getting to meet him, and there was a whole bunch of us extras. We were all supposed to play stickball, and he lined us up against the wall. And the first person he picked was me, and I winded up getting a couple of lines, got an upgrade, which I didn't even know what an upgrade was, didn't know what SAG was because I winded up getting my SAG card. But that's how it first started for me. And the next thing you know, I'm in a hair and makeup trailer out of nowhere. And it was just, I got the bug from just being there and seeing everything and the props of the 60s from, we were shooting in Astoria, Queens. But just to be there and get to see everything and how it was done, and made me really realize. And I also knew that I didn't mind the waiting process of sitting there and waiting hours for things to happen. And a lot of times, friends of mine, I've given them little opportunities. They can't. If you don't have patience in this business, it's not for you, obviously. So I knew that I had the patience. I would have waited, 3 days if I had a chance to get something. So that's when I fell in love with the business, and I really owe it all my start to Robert De Niro.
When you say an upgrade for those audience members who don't know, so you were hired as an extra through SAG union rules. An upgrade is when they give you a line. Now you're not an extra. You have under 5. Sometimes it's under 5 lines. There's different designations.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't even, and then people were telling me, they're like, do you know that you're going to you could join SAG? And I was like, I didn't even know what SAG was. I'm like, what is SAG? And people you don't understand. Some people take years, 20 years before they get their SAG card or never get their SAG card. So I was thrilled. And it was, just something that then I decided that I really wanted to stick with and love to do.
So you started out as a movie buff, and then you wind up being in the movies. Basically, that's it, right? I mean, and then when do you start taking it serious and start taking acting classes, Willie?
Well, right after that, then I went to I took some classes with Alice Spivak. I was taking private classes of the late Alice Spivak. We all know she passed away. She was great. Soon right after, I started to and then I did a little thing on that cop show, New York Undercover. I got a little role in that. And then I had a little role in Hackers. And I had some lines with Angelina Jolie, who was just coming up at the time. No one really even knew her. But I winded up getting a couple of scenes with her. And that's when I really decided. Then I wanted to write and direct. And I started writing scripts as I was reading scripts. And I thought that this is something I might want to get into. And then I started writing as well.
And that's something like you became proactive. You weren't just going to wait for the phone to ring. You said you wanted to work. You wanted to do the type of material you wanted to do. And you said, I'm going to write. I'm going to produce. We do have a lot of listeners and viewers who are interested in getting into the business. What advice would you give to someone who wants to make a film, wants to do what you did, wants to produce, wants to write? What would you tell them, somebody who's never done it but wants to?
I would think that no matter what it is, even if it's short film, just something that you could put a little financing together to do yourself, just to showcase yourself. Even if it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes. My first film that I did, it was called One Deadly Road years ago, and it started as a short. Yes. That's how I kind of started with the first little film, and then I got a little more money to do my movie Wannabes, and then I just kept, being able, more people believed in me as I finished products and showed that I had a film that I got distribution for. So then it just kept growing, and I kept building my resume. So now, thank God, it's much easier.
I was going to ask you how would you suggest somebody go about financing an independent movie? Like, what is it? Just you ask your family, you ask your friends, you try. Do you go to like investors? Is there like a website that you go on that you introduce your projects to?
I mean, today they have those. You could do things online to get money. I think they're like GoFundMe or something. I forgot what they're called, but there's some kind of ways of doing that. But, yeah, I mean, I felt like I think that most people must know one person that has some money in their life, and and go to them, and they'll do. A lot of times people, if they like you, they're not so concerned even about how their return is going to be. A young filmmaker, they may get behind someone just to back them because they're successful already. I'm sure, and that's what I'm saying, not everyone knows someone like that, but I think someone as a family member or a friend of a family member's I feel like if people see you have integrity and that you're really trying hard to do something, that someone will get behind you. I mean, that's kind of how it first started for me. And then, I built it up more to dealing with, investment bankers. And, after you build up more stuff, then obviously it becomes a lot easier. But in the beginning, it was very hard. And sometimes going to friends and family for something that's so risky, it's not such a good thing sometimes. But now, I mean, if you deal with people who have a big net worth of money, they invest in things they invest in everything. So I learned not to deal with people now at this point that aren't on a high net worth, because they understand what it is to invest in entertainment. It's a different ballgame when you deal with, guys who work, 50, 60 million, as opposed to guys who don't have that type of money. So, but like I said, I think that I would suggest for someone to go to someone that they know that has a little money to just get behind them. I mean, you could do short films for a reasonable amount of money these days. If you get a good crew, filmmakers, film students do it all the time.
Willie, so tell me how The Sopranos come about. So you're doing bit stuff here and there. How's the audition for The Sopranos come about? Well,
I went in a few different times, and I remember that there was a role, I think it was called Doggy or Dogsy, and I booked that, and I was doing Analyze That at the time, and I had finally got on The Sopranos, which, everyone it was the greatest thing to be on, and I had to turn it down because I was working on Analyze That. I was booked for a month, and I had told Georgianne Walker, and I said, I'm working the next few weeks. I have no choice. I was already booked on Analyze That. So she says, oh, we'll try and get you in again. And then, thank God, the Jason Molinaro role came up. And I remember one thing, Michael, the first day I worked with you with the cigarettes, when we're doing when we did the cigarettes and I was in the van, I had said to you, I said, Mike, you've been in so many movies. You have such a great career. I said, how do you feel now that you're on television instead of making such great movies? And you said to me, which you're correct, you said, I'm making a movie every week. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember that stayed in my head because The Sopranos was a movie every week. It was bigger than anything.
Yeah, and it was kind of the first time TV rose to that level in a way, right?
Yeah, because you had done so many great films, and I had said that to you. I said, I think The Sopranos, like you said, changed, because I know I've talked to actors that told me they turned down, I think, James's role. A few actors said they turned it down because they didn't want to be on TV. I've heard rumors about that. I don't know how true that is, but now they only wish they did that role.
So did you read for David or just Georgianne? Did you finally go to read for David Chase?
I always was I was always towards the end, so I always read for David, because I remember the way it would be there would be like 6 people left, you'd first go to Georgianne's office, you'd read, then there'd be 6 people left, and you would go to Silver Cup, and you would sit there with 5 other people and pray that you're one of the people that gets the phone call. And so I always read for David, because that's another thing that I loved about the industry back then as opposed to now. And I always bring this up. I felt it was so much better when you're actually sitting there and getting a chance to meet the creator and the main person behind the show. Now, but even before the pandemic, everything is just tape, no direction. The casting directors, they don't know so much about how much direction to give you. And you never get to meet someone like David Chase again. It seems like that's a thing of the past. And I loved that about The Sopranos. And I remember I got the call in the car on the way home. Like, I got the call, I left. I didn't have to wait the next day, and the phone rang, and I was good. Like so thrilled to finally work with great people like the both of you guys.
That's a good call to get.
Yeah, that's really good. So, as you read for Dogsy, that's the only other guy you read for?
No, I had read for other roles in the past. I think I read for Mustang Sat, the guy that I think Burt Young's character, who played your father, killed him. I think I read for that role.
Ryan Tarantino, yeah.
Yeah, I read a couple of times, and Georgianne had kept saying, "We like you. You know, we'll try. You know, I think something's going to happen." And as you know, you guys know, like, people at the show is so enormous. Like, anyone would like. That's why I say, I know I didn't have such a big role, but to be part of history.
Oh, but you
and
did.
We look back years later, and I don't think even you guys kind of realized at the time how insane it really was. Maybe you did, because I remember sometimes I would go to like autograph signings where you guys would be at the nightclub in Long Island. I forgot the name of it, but you guys were rock stars. There was people in line pulling on you guys. It was insane when you guys would do appearances. It would be like the Beatles showed up. Crazy.
Yeah, it was a big deal, man. And you were a member, you were part of Paulie Walnut's crew.
Absolutely, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
it was great to work with him a lot too.
What was that like? Did you know him from before Sopranos? Because he's a Brooklyn guy.
He's from Brooklyn, so I've met him a few times, but I didn't know him that well. It was great to just work with him, and he brought so much to the table. It was great to work with another guy from Brooklyn, and that's why when I played basketball with Steve, another Brooklynite, it was great, to work with him as well. And there's a lot. I think even David Proval's from Brooklyn. I think David grew up from Brooklyn. I think he's originally from Brooklyn, David Proval.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He is, definitely.
So how did you get into the into the directing, Willie? I mean, you've directed a bunch of stuff. How'd you get into that? How'd you make that leap from the acting to? Did you go to film school?
I felt like that. My biggest film school was just being on sets. I mean, I felt like being on the Sopranos set was great film school, watching, great people like Steve Buscemi direct and Alan Taylor, and watching other people and, working on Analyze That, Harold Ramis directing, and just watching. I always would just be like a fly on the wall, even when I wasn't in a scene. And for me personally, my greatest film school was just being on sets. That's another thing. Sometimes when I talk to extras and stuff like that on different projects, they want to direct and produce, I say, just pay attention, just watch. I mean, how much more can you learn than actually being there? So that's kind of how I learned. And I hired, Paul Borghese and some other directors who did wonderful jobs, but I felt like I wanted to start directing my own stuff. And with the show that I just did, Gravesend, we put out 4 episodes, and it's about Brooklyn in the 80s. And, we really got a very big audience now. I felt like there's a thirst for something similar to The Sopranos. And when people bring up, I'm like, guys, if we're 5% as successful as The Sopranos, we're great. 5%. So, and I'll never, ever try to be, The Sopranos is the greatest, one of the greatest shows ever made. And when people sometimes try and compare that, I'm like, first of all, I don't have a budget like HBO to begin with anyway. And that is not something to compare to. That is like one of the greatest things ever made. And I always say, if we're 5% as successful as The Sopranos, we'll be very successful.
Yeah, but this Gravesend, you've written, you directed, and you're starring in it, and you've got some really good actors. I mean, you got some really good people in it.
No, thank you. And we just got some other great people. Andrew Dice Clay and Armand DeSante and William Forsythe. Some great legendary people. I worked with Armand before in the past, and he's great. And Dice is another Brooklynite coming off a
I love Dice.
Yeah, and you got Jimmy Russo. James Russo is in there.
Great actor.
James Russo,
done some great work.
Louis Lombardi, Paul Ben-Victor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a great
thank you. We got Kathy Moriarty now coming aboard.
Oh, that's great.
So we keep building and getting more. Nick Totoro was in one of the first 4 episodes as well.
We love Nick.
I was going to ask you what it was like working with John Travolta. How was that?
Oh, that was amazing. Being from Brooklyn, and I'm sure Steve will attest to this. He probably agrees with me that one of his favorite films is Saturday Night Fever.
Me too. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Right? So
I saw some of it being filmed when I was in high school on 86th Street.
Yeah,
I was on the bus going to school.
Yeah, so he's such a great guy, and I know he was so close with James.
Yeah,
he always tells me how they had such a great relationship. From the first day that I met him on set, he's such a humble, one of the best people I've ever met. I'm sure you guys have met him before.
I've never met him. No,
I've never met him either. No,
you haven't. I'll tell you something.
I like a lot of his work. I like a lot of the stuff he's done. He's
amazing, and him and Kelly Preston. They would stop when they would come to set. They would stop and get out of the Escalade and sign autographs for like 150 people. I mean, they would interact with people in the streets. It was amazing just to see that. But for me, the highlight of like one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in my life, I even think, is the fact that when the Gotti movie was about to come out, I called John on the phone. I said, John, I have a good idea. I said, to help promote the movie, I don't know if you know how big of a fan base you have in Brooklyn. I said, I know the people that own Lenny's Pizza, where he comes to the window, give me two slices with the paint can walking down the street. I said, that's still there. It still looks exactly the same. I said, why don't you come back there and we'll I think that'll be a great promotion that John is back in Brooklyn. And he said, put it together. And we winded up having John. So now me, a Brooklynite, kid from the neighborhood, brings John Travolta back to Brooklyn. We're on a stage. There's 10,000 people in the street in front of Lenny's Pizzeria. More press than I've ever got in my life in one day. And that just goes to show you what type of a guy he is. He said, yeah, let's do it. And it was amazing. I had 10,000 people in the streets. Joe Corsi was there.
I got to tell you something, though. With the movie, and I love the movie, and of course, people love him also from Welcome Back, Kotter, which took place in the Utrecht High School in Bensonhurst, and then he goes and does Saturday Night Fever. In all my years, I've never seen anyone order 2 slices of pizza and put them together.
No, I know.
Never.
I know.
That never happened ever in all my 63 years of life. I've never seen that. Have you, Willie?
No, I never seen it either. No. I only see it when people go to the window and just do it to imitate it, which I've done before. I'll admit. But you're right. People don't eat pizza like that.
Now you played Sammy the Bull. Did you know Sammy the Bull?
I never met Sammy the Bull, but I know many people that knew him. Obviously, he's from our neighborhood, so I'm sure you probably know some people that knew him too. But I never met him.
You never met him, and you didn't hear from him after you played him.
No, you know what it is? I'm very close with John Jr. He's one of my dearest friends. So I kind of just stayed I didn't really, I'm very loyal to John as a friend. They obviously have their own personal issues.
No, I just thought maybe he would have contacted you. I don't know. I think he's out and about. I don't know. He's got a podcast, I think.
You mean John Gotti Jr. for the audience?
Yes, John Jr. Yeah, John is a dear friend of mine.
He was a producer on Gotti, right? Was he one of the producers?
He was one of the people, yes. It's based on the book of My Father and Son, the book that he has.
Okay.
Yeah. Shadow of My Father is the name of the book. And like I said, yeah, he was a producer on it. So
I thought John Travolta did a good job as playing John Gotti. I thought he did a really good job.
I know, I agree. I think so too. I know that there's been, they compare him and Armando Sante. I just think they both played it differently, but they're both wonderful actors. If you ask John Jr., I mean, he thinks John did a good job playing his father. So I think
I thought he did a good job.
The most important critic out of anyone is their family. Him and his sister Angel both thought John did a very good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. John's a great actor. John Travolta's great. I mean, he's amazing. He's done so much great work. It's just unfortunate he just lost his wife recently, Kelly Preston, which is very sad. But that's tragic.
She was in the movie too. She played his wife in the movie.
Yeah,
she played Victoria Gotti,
the mother of John, and Kelly played. They played a married couple, and he just lost. She died very recently, right?
Yes, a few months ago, right after the movie came out, like a year after.
And so, what's next, Willie? What do you got happening next?
Well, right now I'm just very focused. I leave for Florida tomorrow. We're shooting the first set of the new episodes in Florida, and then we come back in the summer to finish the rest of the show. We're doing like 7-8 episodes now, so that's kind of my full focus to finish and to get these episodes together. And like I said, I just cast a lot of great people. Maybe one day down the line, I would love to have one of you guys. You guys are the best. Hopefully,
I won't work with Michael. I won't. It's me or him. I won't work with him.
I'll work with him, but he won't work with me.
I won't fucking work with him. Never.
So and our fans can watch Gravesend on Amazon Prime. Is that where it lives?
Another person that's in my show, which I forgot. I don't know how I did is our great friend Vinny Pastore, who I love. He's in the show too now. I just added Vinny Pastore as well.
That's good. That's a good addition. Vinny's
and Tony Darrow as well. Vinny Pastore and Tony Darrow both.
Beautiful.
The Soprano alumni, graduates of Soprano University are going on to
Thank you very much, man. It's great seeing you, great talking to you. Good luck with Gravesend and everything else you do down the road. I really appreciate you coming on, pal.
Thank you, guys. I'm honored. You guys are amazing. Love you both. God bless.
We appreciate you joining us today, my friend. Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Well, Willie. Thank you.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Bye, guys.
All right, there you have it. Willie DeMeo. Very ambitious guy. Like you said, making it happen on his own.
That's listen, you got to do what it takes, and he's not waiting for the phone to ring. He's putting, he's going to do it himself. He knows what he wants to do, and he's going to go out and do it. I have a lot of respect for people.
And he's been doing it a long time. I mean, he's been doing his own stuff for a long time. Yeah.
Got a lot of projects made, and it takes a lot of guts and courage and perseverance, and I respect that immensely. So
absolutely.
Cheers.
All right, let's take a break.
I actually know this guest before The Sopranos.
Oh.
And I got to ask him when we first met, because we were in the same circles in acting school. He was one of the people who started working before the other students. He was kind of legendary in my circles because I think he was already working. He was in the actor's studio, and we had met a long time ago. He is an actor. He's a writer. He's a director. He's had a long career working in film, TV, and in the theater. He's appeared in over 45 different films and TV shows, including 9.5 Weeks, NYPD Blue, Law & Order, CSI, Blue Bloods, Star Trek. His award-winning play, Bricklayer's Poet, was published as one of America's best one-act plays. It's also a short film, which I saw, that he acts in it with Catherine Narducci, and is very good. And he appeared in 7 episodes of The Sopranos as Joey Pepperelli, better known as Joey Peeps. Please welcome Joe Maruzzo.
Perfect.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys.
Good to see you, man. You're in New York.
Too. Yes, I'm in New York. Where are you in California?
I'm in California.
What are you doing there?
I live here.
You do?
I live here, and then when I'm in New York working, I live there.
You see, I got it all backed up. I thought Michael was in this, that, and the other thing.
I was. Now I'm in New York, and sometimes, once in a while, I come down to
Joe,
Florida.
we're on the run, Joe. We're on the fucking run. We
I'm
can't
telling
stay in one place. You never know who's taking pot shots at you, you know?
Oh, in this business, are you kidding me? Oh, you guys know.
You
guys know.
When we talk about Star Trek Enterprise, Michael, me and Joe did a two-parter.
Together?
We played Freedom Fighters. We had a ball.
Fighters. We played these two mobsters who got caught in the 1940s in New York City, and the Nazis were taking over Manhattan.
Yeah.
Right?
It was great. We had a ball. I was riding the Jeep. We were on the Paramount lot.
Oh, man, it was
for
great.
3 weeks,
we had a good time.
We had a lot of fun.
And in Hollywood.
Yeah, Los Angeles, yeah. I was out there.
Paramount lot's cool. That's my favorite. It's really like old Hollywood.
A lot of fun.
And there's that street now. You see it in movies all the time. You know when they're shooting there. And I don't know if it's Paramount or Warner Brothers. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Anytime you see a movie, there's a look.
I think that's the Fox lot, actually.
Maybe it is. I think so, yeah.
One in near, what is that, Century City over that way.
Yeah, there's a golf course, I think, right over there.
Yes.
You know, I was out there from 89 to 2005. I went out there doing a series called Unsub, which was a great show. It was with David Soul, Emmett Walsh, Richard Kind, myself. It was for NBC. We shot 13 episodes as a mid-season replacement in 1989. It was the first of the forensic science shows. It was the greatest role I ever had. Played Tony the cop, this psychic cop. It was amazing, man. And why did I say that?
And you stayed 16 years.
Oh, yeah, and I stayed. Yeah, that's when I moved. I started out in New York. Michael, you talked about this at the beginning of the show.
But when did what were you in Strasbourg or were you in Elaine Aiken's class?
Kim Stanley. I studied with Kim.
Kim Stanley from
yeah. I was at Purchase.
He's a legend. Yeah.
I was at Purchase University.
Now, were you part of the Purchase Mafia there?
I left. Listen, I left after a year and a half because I got an audition. I was going to makeup class at Purchase, my second year. Kid comes up to me and goes, my friend Scott Rudin's casting a movie called King of the Gypsies. And I was 19 years old. I think you'd be good for this. I met Scott Rudin, my first audition. He said, you're pretty good. Go learn 2 more scenes, come back. Make a long story short, it was between me and Eric Roberts. I had 6 auditions at the Mayfair Hotel. Is that the Mayflower? Remember that? By the Gulf and Western? Yeah. Susan Sarandon, everybody was there. But I met Federico De Laurentiis and Frank Pearson directed it. My first
Frank
audition.
Pearson wrote
Dog Day Afternoon.
Right.
My first audition. And I left Purchase because they said, Joe, do you want to stay here or are you going to go to New York? So Scott Rudin at the time was a casting agent. And he got me my first agent, Jeff Hunter. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jeff Hunter.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, he was amazing. So, yeah, I shot like a fucking boom. And they told me to study with Kim Stanley. So Kim taught at Strasbourg. And that's where I sort of ran into you, Michael, because I think you were with Elaine Aiken.
First I was with David, Gideon, and Charlie Lawton, and then I left.
And Charlie, yeah.
I left Strasbourg after 2 years and studied with Elaine for a number of years where Johnny V and I met, John Ventimiglia. Wow. But who else were you with at Strasbourg?
I studied with Charlie.
Charlie Lawton. Was
and
Al
Kim
Pacino's coach.
That's
Charlie,
right.
Coached Al throughout his career up until, Charlie passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
But you were at the Actors Studio too, weren't you?
I got in the Actors Studio later, but I would go there. I got in 1987, 86.
That's right. I remember.
Frank
Corsaro,
great guy. He was the artistic director over there.
Now, Scott Rudin started out as a casting director?
Yeah. Oh,
Was he a nice guy then? Because he's in a world of shit now.
Oh, I know that. Believe me.
He became a terror, but he was a good guy then?
Yeah. I mean, it was fast. He caught me. He got me in. He wanted me to get the part. And it's funny because I was feeling great. Young kid, in there. Final screen test. And I remember the final screen test. I couldn't turn my neck. I got so tense for some reason. That's the first time I got really nervous. I didn't get it, but I got a part in that movie. They gave me a part anyway.
So you were in it?
Yeah, I had a small part. They gave me, Federico De Laurentiis, who passed away in a plane crash. Good-looking, beautiful guy, Dino's son. He called me at college. He said, Maruzzo, you're talented. We want to put you in the movie, Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
That's cool. They gave you a role.
Yeah, but
You didn't.
Yeah, but you see what you just said, Joe. You said Scott Rudin wanted you to get the part. And, we all go in and read, and some casting directors really want you to get the part, really want to help you, really want to do this. And some fucking angry, bitter, fucking failed actors, and they make your life miserable.
Hey, listen.
Am I right?
Listen, I wrote a play called Actor. It's published. It's in the American Best One Acts. Chaz Palminteri directed a reading of it last year. It's about an actor who holds a casting agent hostage at ABC Casting. Mm-hmm. It's
not based on a true story, is it?
Oh, yes, it is.
It is.
Really?
I mean, it takes off from my feelings about exactly what Steve is talking about, because some of them are just monsters,
I mean, listen, Georgianne Walken, if it wasn't for her, she relaxed me. I was green early on. She's the one who helped me. Yep. And we have those, and most of them are beautiful and great, and they're very helpful. And then you have some that are just, they kind of beat you up a little bit.
It's crazy what the power that they have. I mean, not to knock them at all, because without them we wouldn't be working. But some of them have the power to not get you in the room.
Well, that's what it is. They're like bouncers. They could get you in the club or not. They can't get you the job, but they could get you in the club or not in the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some people made like Sheila Jaffe and Georgianne Walken. They made a big difference. And
for you guys, definitely.
Ellen Chenoweth is terrific. Ellen
Lewis,
Ellen
Chenoweth, Julian Taylor.
There's some great ones.
And Ellen Chenoweth is for the studio. Her husband's a member of the Actors Studio, and she worked at the studio in the office when she was young kid.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, is that something? Wild. People just move.
Where did you grow up, Joe?
I was born in Brooklyn, Canarsie.
Uh-huh.
But at 6 years old, we moved to Lake Ronkonkoma, Long Island. And so the suburbs, really, I grew up in Ronkonkoma. Great time I had there. And
Did you always want to be an actor, Joe?
We all have our stories, right? And I'll tell you this really quick. I was in high school, senior year, and I have dyslexia. I couldn't read. I played sports all my life. So they said there was a class called drama, acting. I said, well, I'll take that so I don't have to read. Little do I know, right? So the acting teacher, Mrs. Winter, a hippie, she said, all right, I'm going to do an improvisation. They said, Maruzzo, get up. So I got up. She said, I'm going to read from a book. And it was a book about war. She goes, you physicalize what I'm reading. So this was my first exercise. And I was all, and I swear to you guys, after it was over, I was laying on the auditorium floor. I looked up, and the word home, Home, descended upon me. I got up. They said, where are you going? I went to the guidance counselor's office. I said, do you know of any acting colleges? They said, Purchase. That was the only one I auditioned for. And that really happened to me.
Wow.
Home. Do you believe it? I mean...
You mean in your mind?
No, Michael. I saw home. I don't know if it was my mind. Home came down. I've had a couple of very, strange experiences in my life with that, whatever it is out there.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I could tell you another one, but maybe you don't want to.
No.
Come on,
we talk
Steve.
about this a lot. Me and Michael.
Steve, did you study?
Well, sure, I did it, but believe it or not, I studied. I started later, but I studied with a guy in Vegas, Ray Favero, who I'm forever indebted to. And then I got the show. And then when I went to New York, there's a guy, Richard Scanlon. I worked with him for 8 years, all during The Sopranos.
That's great. You see?
I still work with Joanna Bexon.
Yeah.
I still work with her. She's
always
a coach. A lot of actors are embarrassed or afraid to say they work with someone. I'm happy. It's helped me tremendously.
That's fantastic. Always sort of greasing the instrument, right? Always
for me. It works for me.
Michael, you too, right? You've studied a lot.
Oh, I grease my instrument often.
Oh yeah. He
Michael-
might be greasing it right now.
Come on, Michael, you got to admit, sometimes in those classrooms, you do some of the greatest work, right?
Oh God! I
mean-
mean, it's class. Because it was purely about the work. It was just.
Hey,
Right, Michael?
all
It's
right.
pure. It's pure. It's a beautiful thing, man.
It was very important to me going to studying acting. Really important.
Absolutely.
So you got to purchase before, like Edie and Paul.
Yeah. I didn't know any of those guys.
No.
I got to purchase, I think it was 1979. And like I said, I left after a year and a half because I got a film. And then I just started, they told me about Kim, and I started studying and working, where I did a lot of plays out of town, in town. And I think the 10 years in New York City, I did a play called Waiting for Louis at Circle Repertory Theater. Remember that place down on 7th Avenue?
Sure. I was a member of the lab, Circle Rep
Yeah, me
Lab.
too, Michael.
Yeah.
So somehow, and I did a play by John Bishop, and I played a mobster in drag. And I got nominated for an Out of Circles critic nomination for that role. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but all these agents showed up because at that time I left Jeff Hunter. And that's when I got this unsub through that. That led to another thing, that kind of thing.
And how do you get to The Sopranos? Tell me
Sopranos, I'm a latecomer, right? You guys it was your show. You guys were family. I was doing a play called Six Goombas and a Wannabe. Have you ever heard of that play?
Oh, yeah. I auditioned for that, and I actually got it, but I didn't do it.
It was a crazy play, but it ran a year off Broadway, downtown.
It was on McDougal Street, right?
Yes,
on that
yes.
theater.
It was popular. Catherine was in it.
Catherine was in it, yeah. And
Dan Grimaldi, I think, was Dan Grimaldi.
Dan was in it. And it was a fun play to do, very Bridge and Tunnel. They were talking to us from the audience, sold out houses every night. It was a lot of fun. And Georgianne came to the show, and that's when she met me. And I came in, I think I auditioned 8 times for different roles.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Which
and
role?
she-
You remember?
I know I read for Joey Pants' role. And that's when she said David Chase loved you, and he really is a fan. So just hang in there, she would say. So then, the Joey Peeps came up, and I remember I went in and read for David, and I got the role. And you never know what it is. You never know what it's going to be. It was what it was. But I'll tell you a story because we're actors. We know we want material, right? We want to do it.
You want to get in the game.
And Joey Peeps never really took off, and that's okay because Michael got me killed. Michael wrote that episode, and but the thing is what I was living in L.A. when I did Sopranos, and I was getting a haircut. All of a sudden, I see Tom Hanks and his kids. They're pointing at me, and I'm like, and they're going, Joey Peeps, Joey Peeps. It just goes to show you, even though the role is small, if you're in a great show, everybody wants to know you. He came over to me, hey, Joey Peeps, we love your show. It was great that way.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
But Joey Peeps, even though you only did 7, you were an intricate character, and you were talked about a lot.
Yeah, I know.
After they killed you, Joey Peeps.
Yes.
I pulled Johnny Saxons. I took him out of the chorus. And
exactly.
Blah, 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 blah,
Well, David called me. I was in L.A. and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to beef me up. David's calling me. I didn't know he calls you to tell you you're getting killed. But he said to me, he goes, listen, we had a good run. You're getting killed, and the good news is Steve Buscemi's going to kill you. And that's show business, right? He's right. Steve shooting you is a good thing.
Yeah, David always finds whatever he tells you.
Silver lining.
He always finds a silver lining. In the meantime, Joe Peeps and Joe Maruzzo are out of fucking work.
And, and it was a low-key character, I had some things in it which were fun. It was pretty simple.
You had good stuff. And besides Ralphie, you don't remember who else you read for?
No, I don't. I really don't remember. My memory, man, I forget things that are near, but I remember things from the past. Don't give me a diagnosis, please.
No.
Do you remember your first day?
Yes. Oh, that story. Okay, here it goes. My first day on the show, I'm standing in Times Square to get picked up. You guys know Vinny Vella, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vinny, I knew him through somebody, and Vinny was there, And some guy walks over, and he looks like a paper boy. He had a hat on. You couldn't tell. He was wearing like chaps pants. He was very, very white bread. And he said, "This is so-and-so. Hello." I met this guy. I said, "Hello." So I'm sitting in the back seat with this guy, and he's like Gomer Pyle. I'm thinking, who is this kid? I can't see his face. And he's reading the paper, and all of a sudden he goes, "This fucking guy, I'd like to break his leg." He starts talking like that. And I'm like, huh? "I wrote a screenplay. This motherfucker wouldn't." So we get to the set. I swear to you guys. He comes out of makeup, and he's very handsome. And I'm sort of getting in character. And I went, "Man, look at you. You look like Paul Newman." And he looks at me like he wants to kill me. I walk away. We shoot for the day. I think it was funeral scenes. I forget. I'm having lunch. Old-timers around me. He's sitting across from me. So, like an idiot, I go, "So what nationality are you?" He says, "Italian, half." I said, "What's the other half?" "Polish." I said, "Did you ever read Streetcar Named Desire? You know, that's a good guy. He's Polish." He looks at me. His eyes are almost red. He gets up and walks away. As he walks away, an old-timer goes, "Excuse me, can I sit here?" I said, "Sure." He sticks his, "Now you giving my fucking seat away?"
Oh, somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Was his name Michael Imperioli?
I'm getting to that point.
No.
It's
I
almost
know
over.
Joe already. We knew each
So
other.
I'm walking down the street, down a suburb street where the trailers are. No one's around. He goes, "Go back to L.A., you fucking faggot."
Oh.
All of a sudden, this is my first day on the show. Vince Curatella's in my face. "What did he say to you?" I said, "I don't know." He goes, "Why'd they fucking hire him? The feds were here last week looking for him." I don't know who the guy is. He was in Tony's crew. Handsome, blue eyes. I come home. What happened? I said, I don't know. I'm talking to this guy. I told him to work on Streetcar Named Desire. He says, "All right, we're going to phase him out." I said, whoa. Don't do it too quickly. He'll know it's, you know. Anyway, it turns out that he's, I hate to say it, but he's some wannabe mobster who was on the show, and he got phased out, and people knew him from around town. It was weird.
That's terrible.
That was the first day.
I never heard that story. I never saw
I
that.
hope I'm not, you know, I don't know if you're going to use it or not, but it happened.
That's all right.
Wow.
That's terrible.
That's not a fun way to start.
No,
Exactly.
That's terrible.
Maybe you should cut this out.
Why?
No, I mean start your
I know.
experience on the show, not this show. I mean,
It was weird. It was weird. It was really weird. But I found out through Vicky Gotti, because Vicky Gotti was friends with a girlfriend of mine at the time, that this guy is actually a wannabe gangster he was in Tony's gang. He was in your crew. I saw him at the party. He didn't even know who I was, so it didn't matter, you know.
Joe, what you act, you direct, you write. What do you like best? Is there one thing? Do you like playwriting?
I'll tell you, man. I'm sure. I know Michael writes. Steve, you probably pen it up every now and then. I love writing. Writing is just a different kind of thing. And I used to write notebooks, as you know, in these acting classes. I'd go home and just write scenes in coffee shops. And then I started to, you know, learn how to type. I love writing. I love acting because you guys know when you get in that zone, it's like a whole body experience. You know, you're like on fire. It's like you feel it. But they're both great. They're all great. It's a great business. You know, it's a great thing that we're doing if you get a chance to do it and do it well.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're on something that, when the material is inspiring and it's stuff that you really like, it's not just a job, that it's something that's really you feel a connection to and you feel a passion for. When acting is good, it's really good.
You guys know, right? Could you remember scenes you did? That fucking camera's over there.
Sure.
You're with a partner, and boom, you're taking off on something.
Joe, now you worked with mostly who? Vince Curatello.
Yeah, Vince Curatello, and then Frank Vincent.
And Frank Vincent. So two great guys, two great actors.
Yeah, Vince Curatello is so great, so low key, so simple, and Frank Vincent was a hoot. You know, he was a great guy.
Frank was a lot of fun.
He really was.
Back to Brooklyn and your origins. Did your family have any connections to the
listen to
organized
this.
crime at all?
Okay, here's a good one. This is a good story, and cut me off if I'm going too long. About 10 years ago. My mother lived in Arizona. I loved Arizona. and her husband died. And I went over there to help out with the house and everything. And I had a book called Mobsters for Dummies, which I don't know if you guys ever, it's hilarious. I was writing a play, right? Mobsters for Dummies. You've got to get it. It's fucking. So
I lived it. What do you mean? I got to get it.
So I get there. I get to Arizona, and all of a sudden I hear my sister go, "Ma, look, it's Vic." And I'm like, "Who's Vic?" It turns out my mother's best friend as a child was a guy named Little Vic Amuso. He was the head of the Lucchese family.
Whoa.
He's still in prison. So my sister got my mother to get, every time my mother had problems, he would come around. He wanted to marry my mother, but she never told me about it, ever. I don't know why. So they started writing letters to each other. I got about 50 of his letters from prison, and supposedly he's still the boss. You ever hear of him, Vic Amuso?
I've heard of him.
I have, yeah.
Gas pipe, Casso, whatever those two.
Yeah.
They went on a bloody reign, supposedly. And these letters that he writes my mother, they talk about lasagna when they were kids in Brooklyn, and the cast iron pots for the lasagna get crispy on the. I mean, this is what he says.
Wow.
And he heard about Sopranos. He heard about Sopranos, and he said, "Oh, your son's a handsome guy. The show. I'm not sure, but I don't like it very much. I hope he goes on to do better things." About Sopranos. Well,
that sounds like a good play.
I know. You want to know that people are telling me write the play, and I can't find a way in. I just can't. It's not hitting me yet.
Your mom marries him, and he becomes your stepdad. There you go.
I guess so, but he's in prison.
Hey, it happens. Didn't
Tony
B, Steve Buscemi's character, got married in prison? No. Oh no. He had the kids in prison.
They smuggled his seed out of the jail somehow.
Yeah.
Michael,
yes.
You ask about if I had any connections, and I grew up in Brooklyn. This is a picture. This is my childhood picture. Do I look like a mobster in this? Is that crazy? This is in my grandmother's, Italian grandmother and grandfather's house. This is how they did it. It's bizarre. So, of course, I'm going to play a mobster every now and then, right?
That's funny.
It's crazy.
That's pretty funny.
And Canarsie, that's where Annabella Sciorra is from.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that's where she was born and raised.
I didn't know that.
I believe Canarsie, yeah.
I didn't
She's
know
a
that.
Brooklyn girl. And you were good friends, and you are good friends, and she was in Bricklayer's Poet,
Catherine Narducci.
which I loved.
Did you see
wrote
it?
that. I did see it.
Oh, I saw it
Catherine
too.
Narducci, who played Charmaine Bucco. She's been on our show. We love her. She's one of our favorites. And
She's a good friend, yeah.
she's a good friend to you a long
She
time.
really-
and what you guys did was great. I enjoyed that very much.
Oh,
What
thanks.
was the inspiration for that?
My father was a bricklayer.
Ah.
And that's the first play. That's, of course, I adapted it for film. It's the play's different, but so we had to take what we had to take and use. But my father, I wrote that play in 2 days, just without stopping. When that happens, you get on a tear. My father was a bricklayer. I loved him, and I worked for him as a kid. And I think
I think Dominic Chianese, Uncle Junior, he was a bricklayer. I think his father was a bricklayer.
I think David Chase's family. I think they have bricklayers in the family.
Yeah.
And I also think Tony. The name is Jim Gandolfini, right? I think he had bricklaying in his family. I don't know. A lot of bricklayers, the Italians.
Sure. And Joe, so tell me, what's next? What do you got?
Listen, guys, honestly, I did a play. I did Cherry Orchard with Ellen Burstyn at the studio. It was a lot of fun. I really have great time in the theater right now doing plays. I'm writing like crazy. I'm developing like 3 or 4. Guy Michael, you write. You have like 6, 7, 8, 9 things. I'm just developing features. I'm developing a series. I'm just going to get these things done and get them out there. That's.
Do me a favor, Joe. Tell the people out there you live in a special kind of place where a lot of performers and actors. I mean, I remember bumping into you in the street. It's got to be over 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You told me that you put your name on the list years ago, and it just came up. So there is a place for performers. Go ahead and tell me.
The Manhattan Plaza was built in the 1970s, 2 high-rise buildings on 43rd and 10th and 43rd and 9th. And no one wanted to live here because of the crime and hookers on 42nd Street and drugs. So somehow this priest got involved and said, let's do something for the arts. And so if you work as an artist, an actor, a writer, a lighting person, a stage manager, whatever, a musician, you get to live in this building, and they base your rent. They base your rent a third of your income, and your income always changes, so your rent is always changing.
Uh-huh.
But they cap it too, where I have a large L-shaped studio with a balcony. I think the most they could charge me is $2,500 here. It's crazy.
So it depends.
But if I make $10,000 for the year, my rent is $200 a month.
So it goes great. And over the years, well, I know Larry David lived there, I think.
Yeah, Larry David, yeah.
Larry David lived there.
Alicia Keys was born here. Christian
I think
Slater.
that's where Kramer was across the hall, Michael.
Really?
Kramer lived there,
In
too.
Manhattan Plaza? Oh.
Yes.
And Tennessee Williams.
Tennessee, the great Tennessee, yeah.
I know he lived there.
Yeah, so it's
You
for
know,
the arts.
The people that don't want to move in there because of the hookers and the drugs, I would have gladly moved there. That sounds like my kind of place.
No, but you don't do that anymore.
I don't do anything anymore. I'm an old fat man. I'm an old fat man, Joe.
And Michael, I hear
Yes.
you're into, what? What do you call it? Buddhism?
I became a Buddhist 15 years ago.
Oh, man, that's
So
great.
now I teach meditation to people on the virtual meditation classes. I have students all around the world who tune in and meditate together once a week.
Okay,
I'm gonna drink a couple of Kettle Ones and meditate.
He never comes to my class. I'm not. He's not allowed to come to my class. I won't
I'm banned.
He's banned.
Joe, I love you. It was great to see you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for doing this, man. Really, thank you very much.
Great
Thank
having you,
sir.
buddy.
You too,
really.
guys. I so hope to see you guys on the off the cuff.
Hope so.
Sounds good, man.
All
Good
right.
to see you.
care.
Take care
All
of
the
yourself.
best. Take it
All
easy.
right.
Thank you
Popping out.
very much. The great Joey Peeps, Joe Maruzzo.
Joe Pepperelli, Joe Peeps, Joe
A
Maruzzo.
very funny thing was when they, with the
The tombstone.
That was a very funny.
Joe Peeps on the tombstone, yeah. All right. People always ask us for stuff like that mug you got in your hand, and shirts, merchandise. We got lots of great merchandise. Go to TalkingSopranos.com, and we got
stuff.
good deals, good prices.
T-shirts, sweatshirts.
Good quality, good prices, good
all
stuff.
Kinds of good stuff. And going fast, Steve Schirripa motherfucks the world mugs. You want to get this, folks. There ain't that many episodes left. And then it's bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye podcast.
Cut to black.
There you go. There you go. I'm going to miss talking to you.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be...
A little bit, anyway. Not that much, but a little bit.
We'll do Zooms, just you and I.
I'll bump
talk
into you
about
pulling your wagon in Central Park.
We'll pretend. Don't say that. That sounds really dirty. There's guys pulling their wagon in Central Park. You don't want to be around those guys. Listen, we'll pretend we're doing a podcast, and it'll just be me and you. We'll talk and pretend.
There you go.
Season 6, episode 5. We're counting them down here.
Wow.
This episode is Mr. and Mrs. John Sacrimoni Request. April 9th, 2006 was the first broadcast. Obviously, the title refers to the wedding invitation, but it also kind of refers to Johnny Sack requesting Tony Soprano kill Rusty Emilio. And Johnny Sack requesting from the judge to attend his daughter's wedding. We talk about, they mentioned The Godfather, and we'll get into that later on, a request on the daughter's wedding day.
This is one of my favorite quotes, which is in our book that's coming out November 2nd. Woke up this morning. Melfi tells Tony, people only see what you want them to see.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I don't believe that. I think people see what they want to see, not what you want them to see.
There's a little bit of both. Of course there is.
You want people to see that you're a regular, blue-collar, lunchbox, nice guy.
I am.
And no one sees you that way.
Everyone
At least
sees
I
you
don't.
that way. You're the only one. You're the only fucking one because you're
Nobody sees you that way. It's all everyone. It's a facade, and everybody knows it.
No, they don't.
People see me as some pretentious egomaniac, and that's not true. That's not how I want them to see, nor is it true. So there you go.
Be more
so
to
that
people only
quote is
see
bullshit.
you allow them to see. If you're a depressed fucking wacko, let's not being that serious here. If you got problems, you're an alcoholic, you're this, you're that. You could be in your apartment doing whatever you got to do, drinking. If you don't go out in public like a lunatic, people will never know what you are. You're in the house.
I'll know. I could tell when someone's like that.
No, you don't. No, you won't.
Sure, I can.
You really? So if I drink Monday through Friday and then I meet you on Saturday and I don't drink, you're going to know?
Steve, I know what you had just by looking at your face, what you had for dinner last night. Last Tuesday, I could tell you right now.
What did I have last night?
Last Tuesday, I know exactly what you had. Eggplant parmesan and a salad with balsamic vinaigrette.
Last night I had a salad and a piece of salad.
No, I'm saying Tuesday.
Tuesday, well, probably. That sounds about right. But
there you go.
I like that quote. You don't have to believe it. That's okay. Also, the church scene was a church in Cobble Hill off Clinton Street downtown.
Yes.
Brooklyn. Beautiful church, old church. And also the wedding was at Leonard's of Great Neck, which is now called Leonard's Palazzo.
Were you there at the wedding?
No, I was not, and I was happy not to be. Because some scenes, especially if you don't have anything to do, you're just basically an extra.
You missed a really good time. Not to rub it in or anything, but
well, you guys were out drinking, and
we stayed out in Long Island. Yeah, you know,
guys,
where why was Bobby and Janice not at the wedding?
Because we're not friends with Johnny Sack. I don't think.
Am I friends with Johnny Sack?
I don't think I've ever been. Well, no, but you've had dealings with him. I don't think I've ever even been in a scene with him. I don't remember being in a scene with Johnny Sack. And Uncle Junior wasn't there.
And Uncle Junior and Johnny Sack weren't close.
No, but if Uncle Junior wasn't, all fucked up and got arrested, and going into the home, then he would have been invited out of respect, and then Bobby would have been there.
Right.
So he wasn't there. It also was a disgustingly hot day. Right at the church.
Oh my God, was it hot? Yeah. It really was hot. It was one of those hot, humid New York summer days.
So I was glad about that. And then number two, there was so much debauchery going on when you stayed
there really
over
was.
At Leonard's a Great Neck. Tell me a little about that. Well, what was going on? People were drunk.
Well, whenever we had a field trip, because the whole crew and cast stayed out in Long Island because we had, the wedding scene took a couple of days. There was a lot to shoot there.
So there's a couple of hundred people.
And we were out rocking and rolling till the wee hours. I shouldn't mention any names, but we got demolished. Actually, I was, very often I wind up having to be looking out for people and putting people to bed and stuff like that. And I did that on this trip.
When was that?
I had to put people to bed on this trip. Oh, I do that all the time. Come on. I had to get people into their room and into bed and stuff like that because it was a really good time. We had a lot of laughs.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I missed that part, but I didn't miss the sitting around for hours and hours and hours with nothing to do. I mean, if I had scenes.
There was a lot of press, paparazzi at the church in Brooklyn that day from the Daily News and New York Post and stuff. I remember
because the show was winding down.
It was a big deal that we were in Brooklyn. We weren't in Brooklyn all that much for the show, once in a while, but when we were, and everybody was there pretty much except you and Janice and the photographers were having a field day.
It was a great time. That's a great part of Brooklyn. I love Cobble Hill and Court Street. And,
we'll get into. I have some stuff on that church too. I want to talk about because it's an interesting one.
So let's get going.
This is written by Terry Winter, 12 out of the 19 that he did, and Steve Buscemi's fourth out of 4 episodes that he directed. This is the same combination of writer-director that did the classic episode, The Pine Barrens.
Rusty's house, we open up. Rusty, played by Frankie Valli. He holds up his wedding invitation. Mr. and Mrs. John Sacrimoni request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter, Allegra Marie. Rusty's not happy.
It's funny, what's funny about this is that these are like enemies, people who hate each other, and they're inviting each other to their weddings and stuff, their daughters' weddings.
Don't you? I'm not a wedding guy unless I really am close to the person.
I'm not either.
If I'm close to the person or the family, or your sons were getting married, something like that, your daughter, I'm happy to be there, be a part of your celebration. But a lot of times you don't know the people that well and you're invited. And I don't dance at the weddings. I'm not the food is great and all that. I'm not into weddings like that. Like big.
No, I'm not either.
Giant things. It's not really my thing. You can see Rusty's not happy. On a side note, Frankie Valli, since the pandemic, it's getting better and there's concerts. Frankie, we inquired about tickets in Long Island. He's sold out. Sold out. Not a ticket to be had.
You can't get a ticket? You can't call Frankie?
I guess I could call Frankie, but I don't want to bother him. I had someone call the venue who they know and said there wasn't a ticket to be had. He's playing in Atlantic City. He's playing in Mohegan Sun. He's playing everywhere. 87 years old. Incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's still selling out at 87 years old. Really something.
God bless him.
We're in prison. It's 6 weeks.
Do you notice? Maybe the only time there was like a title card, to indicate passage of time on The Sopranos. I don't remember that ever used before or after.
Yeah.
6 weeks later.
I don't know if there might have been another time. Was there a time when Paulie was in jail? Maybe. No?
I don't remember seeing a title card like that. There could have been. I just don't remember it.
The prison, Johnny Sacks sits in his jail cell. His attorney brings him his suit. What do you got for me, Counselor the Brioni? He changes into the suit.
Brioni was famously worn by John Gotti. Very expensive menswear. They're on Madison Avenue, but they were founded in Rome in 1945. In 1952, they did the first menswear fashion show ever at the first fashion show for men, apparently in history. They did it in Florence at the Palazzo Pitti. Clark Gable, John Wayne, Cary Grant, one of the first celebrities to wear Brioni.
Wow. I can't even imagine wearing a suit anymore. It's been so long.
I've worn a couple.
Well, you like suits. That's how you dress. You like that.
I like suits, yeah.
I hate it. I wore one at my daughter's wedding because I had to.
What's your favorite designer?
I don't know. Does that matter? Whatever fits. When you're fat, whatever fits.
Yeah.
But I did have a custom suit made, very, very nice. And I used to, Rochester, that was the best men's store in the country, and they closed in New York. So it's not easy getting good stuff when you're, I'm serious. I'm 6'2", 295. It's not easy.
Well, a lot of that designer stuff is cut for, small people.
Calvin Klein, some of that shit. But what's designer? They put the label on it.
Wow, some designers, they make good clothes. They make good quality fabric. Xenia, Armani, Eastside.
I have a Xenia. I don't have an Armani. I have an Armani overcoat. They buy me nice stuff on Blue Bloods. They buy me some nice suits there, but I can't even imagine. I try to avoid suits, that, at all costs.
Yeah.
Not for me. Johnny Sacks stands before the judge. His daughters are in the sitting in the galley there, right? The judge, what's her name? Linda. She's the prosecutor.
Linda Vaughn, the prosecutor, played by Alicia Reiner, who was famous for playing Natalie Figueroa in Orange Is the New Black. She was also in The Deuce and Better Things, and the great movie Sideways. Really good actress.
So now she's saying this guy's up for a RICO, including murder. I mean, how could you get him out? The attorney says, was your father at your wedding?
Which is a stupid argument.
Yeah, and he says, but, he wasn't up for murder and all these RICO or 47 RICO predicates, including murder. And the judge, for whatever reason, I don't know if the fix is in, I don't know if he was paid off, out of nowhere, the judge just says it's granted.
Well, I guess because in America, innocent until proven guilty, right? So technically he's innocent.
I guess. He says, you can't drink any alcohol. You're going to be escorted by U.S. Marshals. You're going to pay for it all.
For the transportation, for the guards, for the metal screening, all that stuff. No alcohol or intoxicating substances. So Johnny Sack couldn't smoke weed at the wedding back then.
Coke.
Maybe
he couldn't
today.
Take LSD. He
couldn't take LSD, which he usually would do at a wedding.
Yes, ecstasy. Usually, a
Didn't
rave.
happen.
He's got the glow sticks. Usually. Catherine Sacrimoni is played by Kristen Milotti, who was in the Wolf of Wall Street, Palm Springs, Fargo. She's a big actress.
She works a lot.
Done very well for herself. She's much thinner than Allegra. Allegra is more like her mom.
Well, the other
Caitlin
daughter
Van
looks like
Zandt.
she actually may have an eating disorder. She's very, very thin.
Yeah, she's
kind of
very thin.
alarmingly thin.
Allegra, Caitlin Van Zandt, who's a terrific actress and a really nice girl.
No relation to Steven.
No, but a really nice girl. Johnny's got to pay all the expenses. He's only got 6 hours.
Total. And the judge does say 6 hours total. Do you understand this? Do you agree to it? He says, I do, and thank you.
And they clap. They're very happy. I mean, they're going to go on with this big wedding with or without him. If he gets denied, they're going to have this enormous 400-person wedding.
Which he's paying almost $500,000 for.
Incredible. And this is, 15 years ago?
This is 2006, 15 years ago.
A lot of money, man. A lot of money for one night.
Hey, if you got it, I guess it's okay. I would never do that, nor would I ever pay for that. No matter how much money I had. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. Soprano House. Perry arrives.
Perry Annunziata, new character played by Louis Gross.
Carmela lets him in. Tony Muscles Marinata. He's a guy that works out, a muscle guy, in good shape. The Italian strongman calls him Muscles Marinata. She says, "I'm glad you got someone capable of protecting you, driving for you." Yeah, Carmela's she's like a mobster.
She's like a mobster. Yeah, she's also says she feels like a mommy. I mean, this scene is the beginning of establishing Tony feeling weak or afraid that people are going to think he's weak or that afraid that he's going to appear vulnerable. And, people are going to challenge his authority. So they got this guy to protect him. And Carmela says, I feel like a mommy. And this is the beginning of Tony starting to think about this.
And he says he's in good hands, Mr. Soprano. He was first runner-up, Mr. Teenage Bloomfield, New Jersey. Your first day back at work. Yeah, Carmela's very much a mob wife. Very much.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Perry's car. Perry's driving Tony. So Tony's looking at him, looking at his muscles. What do you do? Free weights, machines, a little bit of both. Depends on what muscles I'm trying to hit. I got to get back to the gym. Yeah, he says, I'll make you a program, Perry says.
And Tony says he used to bench 300. He did it with a major cold. Perry doesn't react at all. That's not impressing him at all.
With a major head cold, you cough. He says if you cough, to crush your neck. If you while you're lifting 300 pounds, if you cough, it'll crush your neck. These guys cut him off. Perry pulls up in front of him. Oh, you don't signal? Fuck you. He's ready to go. Perry's very rambunctious.
He's rambunctious. He says, my mom says I should count to 10. There's another mom reference here. I never remember to do this. Tony pats his arm. But he noticed what Tony notices, that this guy can fly off the handle, which will come back later, obviously.
Yeah, and but Tony kind of gets a kick out of him. He's very rambunctious and not very bright, obviously. Melfi's office, very funny. He says, so let me ask you right off the bat, is there any chance of a mercy fuck? Just kidding, I'm happy to be alive. Of course he's not kidding.
No. He's not kidding, and he's
Taking a
struggling
little
to
shot.
sit. He's still in pain. He's still vulnerable. He says he's happy to be alive. She asks, "Has you spoken to your uncle?" Which he hasn't. "Have you had night terrors?" And he says, "Gloom is your business, and business is good."
Yeah. I know, but I know. Gloom is my business. Fucking gloom.
Crepe hanger.
June gloom. And then he starts talking about AJ. He got even worse. He dropped out of school. He waited for me to be in a coma. Really?
No.
Really?
He also says, "My uncle tried to kill me for the second time. Maybe I am suppressing things. 3 strikes and you're out. Life is a gift." He's really, that's a big deal. And he's kind of just glossing over it, right?
Hey, listen, he's also very emotional, very sentimental. The guy almost died. You see it throughout this episode. You see it with Meadow. You see them when they're talking in the house. I mean, he almost died. He came this close.
Yeah.
He's feeling a little bit better, Melfi is for a therapist, very aggressive, I find.
She is. She says, hopefully AJ will learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Basically saying, about guns and violence and the cause, because of your work. He says, "I was a victim of domestic violence. You think it can't happen to you, but it does."
I mean, which is pretty funny, but she goes right at him. I mean, there's no bullshitting around here. He tells her that he's working at Blockbuster. She says there's worse things in life. He says it's the first stop on the Shipbird Express. Listen, college isn't for everybody.
No.
And I think as time goes on, more and more people are realizing that for the cost of an education here in the United States, which is an enormous amount of money for 4 years, it could be 150 to 200,000 and up. I mean, I think you got NYU, University of Miami, 75,000 a year.
Yeah, and for certain things, there's trade schools that might be more, effective for people, more productive for people and stuff like that.
You make a good living as a plumber, as a, electrician,
mechanic.
Mechanic, all kinds of gigs that people need. Construction, not everything that needs a college education. And as time got on with the cost of it, you get out of school and these kids are $200,000 in debt, and they're lucky if they can find a job. And if they do, it's usually low paying.
How much was your college? Brooklyn College, back in the day.
I was on financial aid because I was on welfare.
Right.
So I paid nothing.
But what was the tuition back then, you think?
A couple thousand a semester.
So was it a city college or private college? It is a city college.
Yeah, city college. Great school. Great school. And now it's even gotten better. Now
what do they specialize?
Bit more money. It's a little bit more money. I think now, CUNY schools, but there's a lot of financial aid available. And, I had my books paid for, and, they were very good. Brooklyn College was very good to me. Whereas my kids went to school and they weren't the worst, but they were in the 40s.
What is Brooklyn College like? What are some of the departments that are strong there?
I don't know now.
Education, I think, right?
Very big education.
Yeah.
Not so much business, but education and little finance. I mean, there's a drama department, but it's a really good school. City College is a good school. Baruch is a really great school.
Hunter's good too. Right?
Yeah. My daughter got a master's from Hunter.
Is Hunter in the city system?
Yeah, that's a CUNY school. Yeah, and there's a lot of good ones. But a private college or a state college, you're paying 40,000, 50,000 a semester.
Yeah, Brooklyn College is known for business. Andy says, huh? Business, administration, management, and psychology also.
Yeah, I mean, I was a phys ed major to be a teacher, and I think I minored in sociology. But a good education. But it's not for everybody, especially now. It's crazy. It's $70,000 a year, $75,000 a year to go to NYU. You come out, you're $300,000. A lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of money, Pork store, the back room. The crew is playing cards. Tony and Perry come in. Everyone's scrambling. It's almost comical here.
Here's your Bialy, nuke that Joe, and then Tony feels
they're bumping into each other. It's like an Abbott and Costello routine.
And then Tony feels a little embarrassed. He can't eat the Bialy because it's got onions on. So here he goes, showing weakness, showing vulnerability. Dante Greco, played by Anthony Rubistello, rest in peace, was a really good guy. I liked him very much.
Very much.
He's being very like a nurse, like a mother, taking care. He took care of his own mother. And Vito, he asks Vito about the municipal swimming pool bid. This guy Deutsch, the city planning guy, Vito's working on it. He's got antibiotics. Tony does.
When we start out, they're playing cards. Paulie's pissed at Chris. He's losing at cards. Chris won 3 pots in a row.
They're paying big $800. It's for this bid.
And Paulie is livid. Paulie's yelling, staring him down. Silvio says, "You malingerer, you." And then Tony and Chris proceed to compare scars. Chris picks up his shirt about his spleen. Tony picks up his shirt. He's talking all, like a lot of people do. He's going on and on about the doctor and the stitches and the vac. And he was the first guy to have the vac. And they sucked
open
out
incision. He mentions he's got intestinal blockage, which Paulie turns away. He doesn't want to hear that. He skis anything to do with bodily functions.
Silvio as Stevie Van Zandt, Silvio's reaction is priceless, and he cuts him off. He cuts him off, and
that's pretty funny when he does. He cuts him off, wants to change the subject. They call Dante Nurse Betty. Nurse Betty was a movie came out in 2000, directed by Neil LaBute, with Morgan Freeman, Renee Zellweger, Chris Rock, and Crispin Glover. That's where that comes from.
Tony's talking about. He's talking to Dante. Dante says, "I used to pick my mother up. Put her in the tub." He says, "You did that because you lose muscle mass, not fat," Tony says.
Right. Right. And he's impressed that Dante actually lifted a grown woman out of the tub, and he's doubting whether he can do it now. Right?
So he's having his doubts. He's a little sentimental. The guys are bumping into each other. Paulie Walnuts is the biggest suck ass on the Sopranos.
He's a big one, isn't he? Yeah.
Big suck ass. Big suck hole. Judge Runyon's office, Prosecutor Castleman.
That's Dan Castleman playing prosecutor. He was the Manhattan DA's investigative office. Randy Barbie.
He was one of our ADs. He's playing the judge.
And Josh Pace, who is playing Zev Charney, the new lawyer for Uncle Junior. Josh has worked forever in theater, film, TV. Josh Pace's father was a physicist with Albert Einstein.
Really?
Josh is a quintessential New York actor. He was in Ray Donovan, Law and Order, The Good Wife, Damages, Sex and the City. He was in Joker. Very good actor, playing the new lawyer here. Saying Junior's got dementia, and he shouldn't be in a public prison psychiatric facility, but he should be in a private locked thing, private locked situation there.
Junior is studying a Tic Tac box.
He's distracted, huh?
This is no act by Junior. I mean,
it was in the past, and now it's not.
This is no act, he's going to go to a mental facility.
But it's a big difference between a prison psychiatric facility and a private lockdown place. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
But it's not great, and we'll see that
It's
later.
not great, but it's,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Prison, Johnny Sack meets with Ginny, Allegra, Catherine, and Eric.
They're all smoking. All of them.
All smoking.
Every one of them. It's hilarious.
I didn't know Ginny Sack smoked.
Neither did I. They're all smoking.
They don't look like real smokers.
That's Adam Mucci playing Eric DiBenedetto. Also, he was in Public Enemies. You Don't Know Jack with Al Pacino, Boardwalk Empire. Does a really good job as Eric. Good casting. I like that. I liked what he did here.
John's yelling about the seating arrangements. which happens at every wedding. You know, a lot of family members don't get along with each other. You can't put me with that guy. You know, I did it at my sister's wedding.
It's a big deal, isn't it?
My niece's wedding. They wanted to put me with certain people, and I said no.
The further you are away from the bride and groom, the less position of respect it is. So it's a big dance to figure this out, right? Did you have a big wedding?
Is that true?
Oh, yeah. So the dais is where the bride and groom and the wedding party is. Table 1 and table 2 would normally be the bride's family and the bride's parents.
Yeah, but I didn't. But when we were making the list, I didn't. Me and my wife didn't say, you know, put Joe Blow and his wife in the fucking back.
Oh, well, you must have pissed off a lot of people.
Well, maybe I did. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I had 200 people at my wedding.
Where was it?
At the top of the Riviera.
200 people.
200 people.
That's a big wedding.
Big wedding.
You said you're not a wedding guy. You're throwing these big elaborate parties for yourself. What do you mean?
Listen to me. This was fucking 32 years ago.
Still.
I had a big wedding. My wife wanted a wedding. I was working at the hotel. There's a lot of people.
They gave you a good deal. You worked there.
I had a great deal.
All right.
Incredible deal. Like almost ridiculous.
So you made money on the wedding?
No, because back there they don't really give you a boost. They give you gifts.
Which is not as good.
I have in my garage in California, I have China. We never opened the box 32 years ago.
Still in the box from the wedding
boxes, bowls, china, candlesticks. We just never used it, you know. I mean, we just, not for any reason. You know, we were registered. They don't, you know, my friends from back here gave, you know, a boost, you know, cash gifts. But over there, they give you a toaster. And we had been living together for 2 years. So we had all that stuff. So it was
And you got married in a church?
I married in a church in Vegas.
Catholic church?
Our Lady of Las Vegas.
It wasn't Elvis or Marilyn Monroe or anybody.
No. That's the chapel.
You know, I met my wife on my 30th birthday, the end of March. Our first date was at the end of April. I think by the end of May we were living together, and September we got married. I proposed on a Sunday, and I said, let's get married tomorrow. And she said, let's at least wait till Friday. Friday we went to the city court, you know, down on Center Street. We got married by the judge. We took a helicopter ride after around the city, and then we had a party at the bar that we owned.
Were your parents at the wedding?
Yeah, we had about 50 people at the bar. Oh. And then that night we stayed at the Plaza Hotel and didn't have a honeymoon.
You had a nice little party, okay.
Yeah, that was my wedding.
And it worked out. You're married for how many years now?
And September 25.
So it worked out. So
now in showbiz years, that's about 75.
But that goes to show that you don't have to know someone for a long time, because we all know those stories. They're together for 8 years, they get married, they're divorced a year later.
It happens, right?
You know? Yeah, I had a big wedding, a very nice wedding. We had some of the bosses from the hotel were there. I told you Jerry Vale was there.
What celebrities were there?
Only Jerry Vale.
That's it?
And a comic named Joey Villa. I had some other comics. Bud Freeman, that owns all the improvs, he was there. I had Hugh Fink was there, and Max Alexander was there, and a bunch of comics.
Where'd you go on your honeymoon?
I think Jimmy Walker was there. I'm not quite sure. On my honeymoon, I went to Kauai, one of my favorite places in the world. And I just went there on my 30th anniversary.
How old were you when you got married?
Almost 32.
I was 30.
It was April. I was 32 in September. So, yeah, I had a big one. And the church was beautiful. And it was great. You know?
So Johnny Sack is having 400 people for his daughter's wedding. They're talking about Aunt Lorraine and the Haitian boyfriend. They got to keep away from the other people in the family, obviously probably because of racial prejudice and stuff. There's stress, there's politics. He says, we'll get through this persecution. He's being persecuted for being a criminal. And these roadblocks, which is foreshadowing of what happens at the end, right? There's a roadblock.
Absolutely. And he's yelling, he's screaming. I mean, we're going to go get through this as a family, dignified, proud, despite all of this. And he said something. Eric says, "Thank you, John," and he goes, "Thank you, who? Dad."
Now, do your son-in-laws call you dad? Well, you have one son-in-law.
I have one son-in-law, no dad.
He doesn't call you dad?
No shitty. I'm not his dad. He's got a dad. I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. The mom and the dad. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I don't believe in that. I had a mother. They both passed away. I had a mom and dad. You know, and I didn't call my in-laws mom and dad, and I love them.
Yeah, nor did I.
Nor do I. I don't feel comfortable about that.
Yeah, me neither. I agree with you.
But it's kind of was an older thing, too.
Yeah, back in the day, huh?
Back in the day, I think so, And then there was also, it was different then, too, Michael. I mean, you had people like every Friday, a friend of mine, every Friday his mother's side of the family would come over for dinner. And every Saturday, it was like the father's side. And then on Sunday, they were all together. Back when the families were all,
when they were big,
living in the same
house or same neighborhood,
and all that. It was a different deal, just different. But Johnny is pissed off, and they're having this tremendous wedding, and she's talking about the food.
Well, he says to Allegra, "Make sure you eat," which doesn't look like she has a problem with that.
Yeah.
And it says, "Mom, you're 8 pounds away from your goal." And then Catherine, the other daughter's name is Catherine. Can we talk about anything besides food? And they cut to the pork store, the exterior, the sign of the pork store, which is kind of a little.
The crew is continuing the card game. All right, that's it for me. Tony says, "Bank is ours. Pace myself," the doctor said. Dante's giving more advice. Surprised how much energy the body expends during the healing process.
And again, Tony's looking a little weak. He's got to keep banker's hours. He's not, he calls him penny arrabbiata. Now, arrabbiata in Italian means angry. And also sometimes they use that, I remember Frank Vincent once, he said, "I got arrabbiata," meaning agita, indigestion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember him saying that. I got
He's got red pepper flakes up his ass. He's a fucking hothead. Phil Leotardo is here.
Speaking of Frank Vincent, Phil Leotardo shows up. Tony's annoyed, doesn't want to see him, yet he comes in and it's kisses and hugs again.
And Tony's drinking a Yoo-Hoo. You like Yoo-Hoo?
I do.
I haven't had a Yoo-Hoo in many,
Neither have I. I like Yoo-Hoo.
I think Yogi Berra used to own a piece of that company.
He used to do the commercials.
The commercials, yeah. I think he owned a piece of the company. When I was a kid, that's what I was told anyway, The parking lot, the pork store, Phil, I was up to see John. He sends his regards. He'd like you to do him a favor. Our friend there, the mayor of Munchkinland, meeting Rusty, Frankie Valley. John wants him gone. Jesus, Rusty. John's worried he might find another puppet like Little Carmine.
He says, "Why you got button men like, what does he say? You got as many button men like my grandmother's corset has."
My fucking grandmother's corsets. You know what? Tell him no. Tony turns him down. He says, "No, I don't want to do this."
Time to set some limits. And Phil looks at him, and again, maybe he's thinking this guy's hurt. He almost died. Maybe he's weak. Now Tony, maybe he's not thinking that in this moment, but I think these things start to play on him. Be well.
Yeah, but also, every time they ask Tony that's a big ask. This ain't saying, "Hey, lend me fucking, $500.
Or,
go kill this New York captain.
Huge deal. Yeah.
Go kill him for me. And every time Tony does it, of course, and then he's going to have someone do it, people are in jeopardy.
Of course.
Now, Phil could turn rat. This guy could turn rat. That could, every time you're going
and not rat, you get the other people in the family pissed at you because they find out because they're allied with Rusty. It's a big risk, of course.
It's a big risk. Soprano house. Tony walks up the stairs. He's struggling a little. How was the first day? It was good. You want to take a nap?
Like a child. It's again these
downy fresh. Tony's breathing heavy.
Yeah, it's him being kind of like a baby.
He's tired. Yeah. The bada bing. Christopher, Patsy, Benny, Little Paulie, they're in the private room with the strippers. Whenever we had those scenes, and I was in only a few, I told you my brother-in-law, I got him to be an extra. He got a lap dance for 6 hours, and he wound up not being on screen. Told me it was one of the best days of his life. He got paid to get a lap dance for 6 hours.
Right, in a strip club that would cost you, thousands.
Thousands of dollars.
Probably, yeah. And he got paid for it. Ahmed and Muhammad walk in. Christopher says, "Where are the rest of the 40 thieves?" referring to the folk tale Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves from 1001 Arabian Nights. That's where Open Sesame comes from, that story.
Yeah, Christopher, you got it. He hands him the money. He hands him a flash drive. There's 120 credit card numbers plus 3-digit security code. Do you think Christopher's getting him from the Bada Bing?
It could be. It's probably more likely no, because you don't want that to blow up, because if you get caught, you're going to fuck up the business. Yeah. Bada bing. No, what they were doing around that time, I don't know if they still do it. They had the card readers. They would put them in gas stations. So you go to the gas station, you put your card in, and there's a fake reader that's taking your information. I had that happen to me in L.A.
Yeah, I had it done also. Yeah, I had it done to me. But with the credit cards, it still goes on to this day. A lot of this shit, it still goes on.
Oh, yeah.
The code. And don't forget, you're giving these credit cards everywhere. You order food to deliver to this, to that, And one thing, I'll tell you what, I've never, and I'm not a strip club guy, but when I had been there, never paid with a credit card.
Oh, no.
That's cash only. You're not.
Right.
Even though I think on the credit card, the bill comes back as a different name.
Yeah, anything like that. That's legal, but especially if you're doing anything illegal, you should always use cash.
Yeah, So you heard that from here. When you're doing illegal transactions.
Or Bitcoin. Only. Bitcoin's anonymous. Bitcoin and cash.
Ahmed says, Chris, you can where can we purchase a couple of Tech 9 semi-automatics extended magazines?
It's a family problem for our former brother-in-law. That's quite a family problem. He also says, Chris says to the Ahmed and Muhammad, don't leave home without it, which is referring to the American Express commercials Carl Malden used to do. And they say, oh, no, we'll use them. They totally don't get the joke.
And they bring dates for Tony as a gift.
Some dates.
I don't remember. Is Ahmed and Muhammad, are they terrorists? Did we find out they're terrorists later?
I don't think so.
No?
I think maybe they may have traced them somehow to drug trade that was connected to it or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Soprano driveway. Carmela runs down the driveway to get the paper. I think maybe the only time you see this.
Well, I think this is, because that's usually Tony's thing, right? Yeah. In the robe, getting the paper. He's being replaced. You know what I mean? She's standing in for him almost.
Yeah, well, he can't go down there, bend over, and get that. She doesn't want to,
Yeah.
Cushy, the newspaper, the headline says, Cushy Psych Lockup for Don Squirrel / Leone. That's what the headline says.
That's referring to Corleone, Squirreleone, that they're making it funny. She throws it out. An odd transition here, a very quiet fade out, fade in, which they did not do much on The Sopranos. It's kind of a little interesting cut there. Cut to the interior of the jail, the marshals, the lawyer, they bring him a tuxedo. He's pissed off that they brought patent leather shoes.
Yeah. Do you wear patent leather shoes with a tux?
No, I don't have patent leather shoes.
That's only when you rent a tuxedo. You rent tuxedo. The last thing I would do is rent a tuxedo. Some fucking kid from their prom shit their pants and puked all over it, and I got to wear it next week. You know what I mean? You got to have a tux.
Yeah.
You got to have one tux.
I have a couple, actually.
Yeah.
I got him for free back, going to like award shows and stuff.
Yeah. When I worked in Vegas, I had 7, 8, 9 in my closet.
I had a tux when I was a teenager because I used to work. I was going to get into it later. I used to work in an Italian wedding hall. So we all wore tuxedos. And we never used to wash them. We actually, they would get so, because we worked in the, most of the time people get married in the summer.
Yeah.
So you're working in the summer. Often they'd have cocktail hour, sometimes dessert hour outside. You'd stand behind the chafing dishes with, the, what is that, sterno. You'd be sweating. You'd spill stuff. And we used to actually, sometimes you'd get stains like with whipped cream and you'd clean it off with coffee.
I mean, why didn't they, well, the catering hall should have, you leave the tux and they should have.
We were 17 years old. Steve.
They should have got them clean for you. They should have paid.
They didn't care and we didn't care.
I mean, you still got to look good. People are paying a lot of money.
You kind of looked good because they're black. We were able to keep them black, but they would get pretty funky.
I was in a wedding. My friend Larry Samaras, Larry the Greek. I was in one of his years ago, and we went to the tuxedo place, and I never brought mine back. I took the fucking tuxedo like an idiot.
And what'd they do to you?
Nothing. I was gone. I was in Vegas. I took the tuxedo, but I never used it. I don't even know why I took it. Fucking schmuck. I thought maybe I was going to need it someday. I think it was gray. I don't even think it was black. These two guys that play the marshals, Mike, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's been in everything. Always plays a marshal, a cop. I worked with him on Fake Fiancé and in Blue Bloods. Really good actor. And Jeff Joseph is a stand-up comic. Used to work for me in Vegas. Really good stand-up comic. He had his own sitcom at one point about a movie theater. I think he was the manager of a movie theater. A lot of commercials and stuff.
I don't know that show.
Jeff Joseph. What's that?
What show was that? I know.
Oh, it's years ago. I'm going back to the 80s, He was a comic. I guess he still does stand-up. It's just funny. Both of them in this scene. And then there's another comic, Joey Vega. He also is in the scene playing the security when they go into the church. He worked for me in Vegas a lot of times also. Just coincidental. Here they are. They're coming to get Johnny Sack. He's mad about the patent leather. He's got 6 hours. It's kind of like Cinderella here. He's getting dressed up to go to the ball.
To the Soprano house, Tony's counting out money for the boost. How much do you think he's going to give at the wedding there? 1,000?
At least.
At least. 1,500 maybe.
Maybe 2,500. He's taking 6 people.
So
he's got AJ and the girl.
Part of that determines how many people you're bringing. Determines it because they're not going to give a boost to kids, obviously. No.
So usually it used to be, you want to cover the cost of the head. So say the dinner's $250 a head. So a couple's $500. So you want to give $1,000, right? Because the whole idea of this is.
They make some money.
The father pays for the wedding, and the bride and the groom, helps them start their life. That's the theory behind this. Have the big wedding, I'll pay for it, and then they reap the rewards to help them get started in life.
All right.
I would say Tony gave at least $2,500. Maybe more.
Right, and it's a boss going to another boss's, daughter's
maybe
wedding.
Maybe $5,000.
So that's a big deal too. That's a thing of you got to show good face there. Yeah.
There's no, you can't give a $200 gift.
What do you think Christopher gave? Now Christopher brings a date. The two of them. What's he bringing? $1,000? 500?
To a boss, I would say $1,000.
Graham.
I guess if it was just a normal wedding you were going to, I think 500 would have been
500.
There's no more giving $200. It doesn't even cost the cover the meal. It's so expensive now.
Right.
Everything's expensive. I told you I went to weddings in Vegas with a cash bar.
Well, I went to when we worked at the wedding hall very often. At the end of the night, the either the father of the bride often, or sometimes the bride and groom would be in the office
Counting the money.
with the owners, counting out cash to give to pay for the wedding. Yeah.
I don't really know. I know that a lot of times it's a dream of some, people to have this giant wedding. I have a friend of mine paid for his daughter's wedding $75,000. He might still be paying it off.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
No,
Going to debt for the one night party. I don't know. I guess whatever you like. If it's a big money thing and you kind of show off, you keep up with the Joneses. They do a lot of that with bar mitzvahs. It's like it's more for the parents. It's keep up with the Joneses. Mine's going to be better than yours. Oh yeah, you had this band. Watch who I'm going to have.
All right. Have you ever appeared at a bar mitzvah? Have you been paid to appear at one?
No. Have you?
No.
I don't.
I'm available though.
What am I, Barney the fucking dinosaur?
We're available. Talking Sopranos. We do bar mitzvahs, so you can call us.
I know they do. I mean, it became a thing.
No, they pay
big money.
Yeah.
50
singers.
grand, 50.
Yeah.
But listen, I've gone to bar mitzvahs where they had name entertainment there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They pay $100,000 for somebody to come and sing two songs.
Mitch Modell had incredible. I went to both. He had his two sons had a bar mitzvah. It was at the Museum of Natural History.
Now, this is Mitch Modell, who was the owner of Modell Sporting Goods. Now, who were the guests? Who were the performers?
Our good friend. You know what, Michael? I don't know.
But they were named performers. Rappers?
A couple of rappers. There was entertainment the entire time. They did the little, after they talked and did their announcements, there was entertainment the entire time. I've never seen anything.
How much do you think it cost?
$2-3 million.
$2-3 million?
Yes, it was on. It was. It was so many people. It was 500 adults, 200 kids. They had buses for the kids back to New Jersey. Okay. And there was a whole nother thing once they got back to New Jersey. There was candy. There was food.
There was an after party in New Jersey.
An after party in New Jersey. 500 adults. Museum of Natural History. Top shelf food. Everything. Sushi. There was, you name it, it was there. Museum of Modern History on a Saturday night.
On a Saturday night. They rented the whole place. What, in that big room with the whale? That room?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly there.
Wow.
All right, so there was that. Then he had another one for his daughter, and there was, I forget the rapper's name. The guy flew in, she flew in on
parachute?
On wires. She flew in. It was incredible. I mean, just incredible good time, but, that's what he liked, and he could afford it, and it was a good time was had by all, A lot of fun, but if you could afford it, like you said, it's for the kids. They get the gifts, they save it, but it's a lot of money.
And they're keeping tabs. They're writing. Carmelo's writing down in a book what they're giving to Johnny Sack so they can compare later on what he gives them.
Well, you don't do that?
No.
I gave you a gift in 2004. I know. I have it written down what I gave you. I'm waiting for you to reciprocate.
I don't even remember, so forget it.
I know you don't remember. You should remember. You should have wrote down, Steve gave me, ba, 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 ba. That's how it works.
But listen, that takes away the whole spirit of giving. You shouldn't be giving expecting the, obligatory return. You give to give.
I know, but listen, this has been going on forever. Seriously. People do it for a couple of reasons. One, they do it, I want to know what they gave, so when it comes my turn to give,
so they're not embarrassed.
I give at least that, right? So
out of respect,
So say you came to my daughter's wedding, okay? You gave X amount of dollars, right?
How much did I give?
I don't know.
Theoretically,
I don't know what you gave. What should you give?
Yeah.
What do I fuck? What you can afford and what you feel like. But if you came to my daughter's wedding, you gave X amount, I want to know that. So when I go to your son's or daughter, I give you at least that much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? They're writing it down. I mean, what could they do about it? When Meadow gets married, so they don't give the same amount. So what are you going to do? So circumstances where people also change.
Well, and Meadow talks about this pressure. She thinks it's kind of ridiculous. And you guys are desperate for grandchildren, and she doesn't really want to hear it. And Tony says, well, what I've been through changes how I think. Holding your kids in my lap has become very important. But she rolls her eyes. She doesn't want to hear anything about it.
Well, she doesn't, I don't know if she's buying, buying him suddenly this gruff, rough guy, suddenly he's sentimental. He's emotional. Now he's really, he's always been a family man. That he has been, but now he's really, he's kind of a softie, and I don't know if they like seeing him that way, Yeah. The church.
The church. That is Christ Church on Clinton Street in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn. It's an Episcopal church built in 1841. In 1916, they installed an altar and pulpit and some windows designed by Louis Tiffany, the famous designer. Recently, in the last decade or so, there were lightning strikes that have damaged the tower, and the tower began to collapse in 2012 and killed a pedestrian passing by.
Really?
Yes.
That's terrible.
So this was a really hot day in the summer. It was kind of like you were going to a real wedding. We're all dressed up. We're all together. You knew most of the people there. We're waiting online. We're waiting in the thing, waiting to shoot, just like you would do at a real wedding, waiting for it to start. It was kind of fun, I have to say.
I was glad I wasn't there.
It was always fun when we were all together, but it was a really hot day.
Well, you know what the thing is too at weddings. Like I know, like in New York, especially like growing up, right? So you get married at the church at like 3:00 or 2:00. So you got to go to the church if you're a guest. But then the bride and groom, they go off, they go to
take pictures
and do what they got to do. And you've got to kill from,
3 hours
to 7, 8 o'clock till this thing starts. And it's very inconvenient.
Yeah, it might not be near. It's probably not going to be near your house. Right? You can't get there too early.
So a lot of times people bypass the church, even though you want to see them get married, because that's kind of why you're going.
You're supposed to be there, yeah.
And then you just go directly to the wedding hall, So it's a lot of work to go to a wedding. It's not easy,
It is. And then you see Johnny Sack comes in, they drive in, they take him out in handcuffs and bring him in the back of the church.
Yeah. And, Tony goes through, they have the metal detector.
There's the marshal, female marshal played by Teresa Meza, an old friend of mine, playing with Paulie Walnuts. She finds that little vial. He says, what is this? It's nitroglycerin. It was cologne, which is Tony used to carry around a little vial of.
Well, that's his own cologne. That's not a prop.
That's not a prop. Obsession for Men is what he would wear.
That's not a prop. That's his. He carried that everywhere, and then he would slap you in the face with it, tell you to take the stink off, and you would smell like him all day long.
Obsession for Men. You would smell like him all day long even if you didn't put it on you, if you were just with him somewhere.
Well, I could smell him coming from around the corner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you were walking, you could smell him coming down the hallway. If you're in a hotel room and you go in the elevator, you could smell that he just went down.
He just left,
10 minutes early.
100%. We see Johnny Sack's father, played by Joe Iacona. Meadow hears that the government made Johnny pay for the guards and the metal detectors and the transportation, and she's outraged by that for some reason.
It's embarrassing. Tony's embarrassed. I mean, he faints. He's not himself. He faints. There's all these people looking. Here's the big mob boss, and it's embarrassing. And then you got Dante taking his shoes off for him.
Yeah, Christopher's opening his jacket. You got to take his shoes. They make him go through the metal detector several times.
It's very embarrassing.
He's a pain in the ass, and then he starts to lose it.
In the scene is my stand-in, Al Sack. Nice fella. He helps Tony when he falls down. He's in that scene.
But you notice at one point Phil Leotardo sees this happen.
Yeah, Phil notices.
They make a point of that shot. It's an important shot there. Christopher is with his new girlfriend, who only was in one episode. That was Kimmy, is his new girlfriend, played by Faina Vitebsky. The only episode she did, and she was very good as Kimmy.
In the church, we're still at Allegra's wedding.
The ceremony's going on. Christopher asks Carlo, isn't Allegra a cold medicine? It's actually an allergy medicine. Means happy in Italian, not happiness. The priest is talking about, do you take in sickness and in health? We cut to Tony. He's getting a little emotional. Cut to Meadow and Finn. Cut to Vito, thinking about what these vows mean in light of what he's going through.
Yeah, Vito is going through a tough time. His wife is holding his hand. He has got a lot going on in his head, Vito. What is he doing there? He's stuck. He's in the closet. He's not happy. He's, through sickness and health.
He's having a rough time.
Vito is having a tough time. Here's everyone's gathering for the wedding reception. Dante brings over drinks. He's waiting on Tony hand and foot. He brings club soda. He says, this is for the convalescent.
Tony's not happy. He doesn't like that. AJ's girlfriend, Jillian, that's played by Katie Lowes. I like that. He says there's a seafood tower. I don't eat fish, the toxins, as she puffs on a cigarette.
She
very
smokes.
Funny.
It's a very high-line affair here. Even Carmela is impressed.
Dito says, look at this young dentist, all handsome in his Calvin Klein. We know they have a subtext going on between Vito and Finn.
Vito is looking at Finn like he's got a pork chop around his neck.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, he's salivating.
Well, it's complicated because he knows that Finn knows. And did Finn tell anybody? He's, it must be very hard.
There's a lot of pressure. But
to live under that kind of tension.
But he is salivating whenever he sees Finn.
And then he wants to talk business to Tony, which is not really the place to do it. It's kind of a shitty move, but he does bring him money. I don't mean to talk about business, but I will. He talks about this guy Deutsch. He's not only the planner, but he's a city planner. He's a degenerate horse gambler. He's Joe DiMaggio, meaning he's playing ball.
And he's always got the money. Vito's a big earner. That's why Tony likes Vito. Vito's always bringing money.
And that's why when, everyone finds out that Vito's gay, that Tony was, kind of willing to give him a pass and say, hey, you know what? Don't ask, don't tell. If he's gonna, that kind of policy maybe would work for Tony if he's gonna keep giving him those big envelopes.
And listen, he gave big money, $100,000, right? $200,000. Him and Paulie gave a couple episodes back to Carmela. He's constantly a big earner. And we know that the mob is all about money.
At the end of the day,
power.
It's about
money. More than power. In these wedding halls, like Leonard's a Great Neck is kind of a very well-known, many people have gotten married there over the years. And Russo's on the Bay. Have you ever gone to a wedding there?
No.
Very popular, very good wedding hall. The food is fantastic. A lot of people get married there. It's on the water out in Queens. And they have, you come up, the bride and groom comes up from the floor. Like in
beneath the floor, like on an elevated stage kind of thing?
And they come up and they walk out. And it's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. I used to work at a place called Alex and Henry's, which they had two locations, one in the Bronx and one in Westchester, Scarsdale, near Eastchester. All the guys in my neighborhood when we were teenagers worked there, and in the summer, that's when everyone gets married pretty much, right? Spring and summer. You'd work maybe sometimes 5 weddings. You'd do a Friday night, and then they'd have afternoon weddings and night weddings. So you could do, some weekends you'd do 5. You'd do 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
Money, no?
We made cash. We didn't get paychecks. We got paid in cash, and we'd get tips. And it was the tipping thing, very few people would tip you at a wedding. So
Really?
they would often give a big tip to the maitre d'.
And then they would cut it up?
Yeah, but that,
They
depending
fucked
on
it.
who they were. There was one maitre d', we called him 5 or nothing Tony, meaning you get $5 as a tip at the end of the night, or you'd get nothing. There was some that were more generous. You'd get $10, $20, usually not so much. And at a wedding, very rarely would the guests, tip you.
Wait a minute. Time out here. So you're telling me you're working at the wedding. Isn't there like a 20% put on? 20%. So the cost of the wedding is let's make believe $10,000, and there should be.
I have no idea back then if they put a tip on.
They did. Okay,
I'm telling you, usually the maitre d',
So what would you make for
back
doing a
then?
wedding? Minimum
We
wage?
made no. We got paid by the party, so we would make, I don't know, maybe $70 back then. This is 1983.
So $70, you do 5 weddings, you make it $350.
Maybe cash.
You know,
yeah.
first of all, I tip at every wedding.
So do I, because I remember what it was like. But once in a while, you get somebody throw you $10, $20.
I mean,
if you were working the dais, because the best waiters work the dais or the bride, the parents of the bride, the table 1 and table 2, they would sometimes give you a tip. But the other guests, very rarely. Sometimes a guy would throw you, hey, can you get, make me a double scotch or whatever, get me a drink, do something else. They give you $20, and then you take care of that person or that table. I do it all the time.
I give it up front and make sure, I'm drinking this, Even when I go to a charity event, always give at least 20. Sometimes
I
40.
always do it because I know what it's like and how much that means. It makes you happy.
But nowadays, when you're doing a wedding, if your wedding's $50,000, there's an automatic 18 to 20% tip.
They may have then, but that didn't mean the waiters were going to get it.
On top of that, for the staff.
No, they probably whack it up among the,
Yeah, well, that's wrong. And they stole your money.
Probably.
Because now, even when you go into a restaurant, a lot of restaurants, more a party of 6, party of 8, is an automatic 20% tip on there.
Well, we eventually got really tired of working there. And what it was like? It was all Italian kids, from the Bronx, Westchester.
And what was it? Wise guys owned it?
No, it wasn't Wise Guys. Once in a while you had a Wise Guy wedding. Well, John Gotti was there once for some of these weddings.
I don't mean
Wise Guys did not own it, but once in a while there were Wise Guy weddings. But it was kind of fun because at night, after the weddings, 12 o'clock or whatever, 1 o'clock, we would all go out. So you'd have like 20 Italian teenagers in tuxedos going out to nightclubs and bars and stuff.
But didn't you also
Hilarious.
pick up some of the guests?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
Sometimes. But then eventually we got really sick of it. We worked there maybe 2 years. And so Fernando, my friend Fernando, me and Fernando, my other friend Claudio, we grew up together. We all worked there. We decided we were going to try and get fired. So they had this, in February, they'd have like a Mardi Gras. They called it Carnival. And they'd have, it wasn't a wedding, it was a big party. People would come and buy tickets. You'd buy a table, you'd buy 2 tickets or whatever. And they had this big head of Julius Caesar. Mm-hmm. So we took the head and then the 3 of us wrapped ourselves in a big tablecloth and went out on the dance floor while they were playing We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. And they all thought it was part of the show, which it wasn't. And everyone's cheering us. The bosses were furious. And that was it. They fired us.
They fired you?
That was how we got fired, yeah.
Fuck, it sounds like a shitty job and they were robbing you. So
no, it was a good job. I actually enjoyed it. We worked with a lot of really good people, some of whom we stay in contact with, my buddy Bruno. It was kind of a thing, if you lived in that area, a lot of Italian kids worked there. No, they were okay. We back then, it was 1983, 17 years old. A couple of $100 for a weekend was not bad money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but they were keeping the tips. That's all I'm just trying to say.
Well, they figure, I'm going to, these guys are 30, 40 years old. They're maitre d's. They're going to I'm going to give this 17-year-old kid money that I could use to pay my, we lived with our families at that age. We didn't have much expenses.
Wedding reception, Johnny comes over to Tony and Carmela. Tony's saying, "What's the damages here?" He says, $4.25, not including the honeymoon. And he says, so Tony goes, so I'm looking at a half a rock, $500,000 for a wedding. A lot of money, man. A lot of money.
A lot of money.
I would rather have a wedding for, $50,000 and then give them.
And buy an apartment or something. Buy
a
house. Put a down payment on a house. He says, you could be an event planner. He's like, and AJ's like, where do you get the shit? But AJ brought that up a while back, right?
A while back, yeah. But then they really ran with it. The event planning, the party planning. The event planning when he had the party. Remember, he made some money selling with the red cups and all that stuff. This prick, he's disruptive, Johnny's saying. He's asking Tony about, taking care of this for him again. What you asked me to do with the little guy, I can't do it. He's disruptive. He's a cancer.
Well, it's a very funny scene. He, because he sees the marshals are watching, so they go over. Tony says, "I'm going to pretend to talk to your dad." They can't hear the two aunts. Aunt Grace is played by Irma St. Paul, who she at one time in New York in the 90s and early 2000s, she was in every friggin' movie shot in New York. I worked with her on Household Saints, Trees Lounge, The Addiction. She was in a lot of stuff. She plays Aunt Grace. She died, I think, in 2007. She did like tons and tons of movies. It's kind of funny, he's saying, "I can't kill Rusty." What did he say? "Don't eat that pepper." The lines come in and out. It's really funny. Yeah.
It's very funny. Tony, AJ, very rude. Very rude, the way he talks to his father. I mean, they give him everything. I don't get it, They do the first dance. John's crying.
This guy, Phil Anastasia, who's the MC, he died about a month ago. He used to go under the name Dean Parrish. That name was suggested to him by Ronnie Spector. He was a big star, a music, act. In the late 50s, he had a hit called Tell Her. He was on Cavalcade of Stars. And then in the 60s, he was a session guitarist for Jimi Hendrix, Santana, and Bob Marley.
And this is the guy, the guy that's doing the MC.
He's the MC, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's something. The marshals close by. Tony and Carmela dance. This is when Vito dances with his wife, it's like two kids at like an elementary school dance. They don't want to get close to each other.
There's not a lot of intimacy there.
Meadow and Finn share a look. They dance to At Last. You like that song? I like that song.
I did it one time, but it's been so overdone and played to death that I can't bear hearing it anymore.
You don't like it anymore?
No, I mean, it was played all the time, anytime, at every event, and it was covered up the wazoo. I mean,
isn't that what they do? They beat the songs to death.
And then you don't like it anymore.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they do. That's what they do here. They just keep playing it. You like a song.
What was your wedding song? We said this before, I think.
Yeah. You Were Meant for Me by Donny Hathaway.
Yeah.
You like Donny Hathaway?
I do. When I was working at the wedding place, it was Lady by the Commodores.
I don't like that.
That was a big one. And
I like that.
What was the other one? Shit, I can't remember. Lady was a really big one. I forget there was one that they played all the friggin' time.
And there's when I was younger, just starting to go to weddings, "Color My World."
Oh, that was huge in the early '70s.
Yeah,
yes.
"Color My World." That was a big one.
Always and Forever. That was the one when I worked at the wedding place.
"Into the Mystic" is a good wedding song.
I've never heard that at a wedding.
Yeah,
where did you hear that at a wedding? That's a Van Morrison tune. It's a fantastic song. What wedding did you hear that at?
I was in a wedding. Well, I don't know, a fucking wedding in Vegas.
Nah, I think you're mistaken.
What are you? What the fuck? What are you out of your fucking mind? What do you mean I'm mistaken? What, I pulled that out of my ass? What are you talking about?
I don't know. I've never heard that at a wedding.
Well, you weren't at the fucking wedding. That's why you didn't hear it. What the fuck? They played a lot more songs than that. You want me to give you the fucking set list?
My wedding song was "Killing Me Softly" by the Fugees. That was my wedding song.
Roberta Flack version. I like that.
That's good too.
Very good. Very good.
You know who she wrote that about, right?
I do not.
Don McLean, who did American Pie.
Who? Roberta
Flack wrote it about Don McLean.
Wow. Look at that. I did not know that.
There you go.
You are just a plethora of information.
I am. Yeah, today I am, at least.
Don McLean, I think, didn't he have a little domestic violence problem?
Yes, he did. Not that long ago.
Yeah, a little problem.
Yeah.
You know, he had some great songs there. The American Pie, of course, one of the greatest songs.
Really good song. That's a good one.
And he had some other good stuff. And
yeah,
then,
Starry Night, which is, I don't like that song. I think that's a horrible
But then he
song.
kind of went south.
Not an easy business.
Not easy at all. Very hard. Very, very, very difficult. I don't know if you make enough money from American Pie to last you a lifetime.
Probably do, actually.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Into the Misfit was at the fucking wedding that I was at.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Well, I don't give a fuck what you think. I mean, I haven't, and I'm not going to start fucking caring now. We're at the Wyckoff Center. Junior arrives with Zev, gets set up in his room. Now, it's a little bit, I'm getting a little bit of a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest feeling here.
Well, you see the guy with the white shirt holding a book with the beard. That's Stuart Rudin. Was in my very first acting class at Strasbourg when I was 17. He was in that class. He was also in Silence of the Lambs, had actually kind of an important role in Silence of the Lambs. That's him there. Junior said, they asked him if he's on meditation. He's on Coumadin, which is a blood thinner. Zev says, this is nice. It's better than prison. There's a tree outside. Junior says, don't bullshit me.
I feel really bad for Junior here.
And Dominic is genius in this scene. My God, what great performance.
I mean, you know, I feel bad for Junior. I mean, it's like his mom and dad are leaving him. It's nighttime. It's more depressing. You know, at least in the daytime, you feel better, right? It's for sun, and you got the trees, and you look out the window, but now it's the nighttime. He's scared. He's confused. He's
in denial. He says, why would I shoot my own nephew? The gun was on the fritz. I should have cleaned it. I want to go home. And he's just left there like a kid. I mean, it's horrible.
Terrible.
I mean, he's very good. John Dominic's brilliant in this.
It's like, you know, when I went to summer camp when I was young, sleepover camp, I got disgustingly homesick. Always, especially at night. It was awful to be, you know, to feel like that, you know. A wedding reception, Allegra dances to Daddy's Little Girl, like we talked about. Chris and Tony tells, this is how it works. I'm thinking we bring somebody over from Naples, insulate ourselves. You know, they do Rusty. Christopher said, you asked me, farming it out is a pussy-ass maneuver. If we're going to do it, we should do it ourselves, maintain control.
Well, this goes back to, you know, what's going on with Tony. People are doubting his leadership based on him, you know, maybe not being around him being, you know, in a coma and being injured. Carmela has that funny tone, the rollatine that she yells out to him, which is eggplant usually, right?
Yeah, it's just that was kind of odd and funny, but kind of odd to me. Screamed across the way.
Yeah.
That the rollatine is here. It's like, really? You know, Christopher says, you know, he gets confused. So
this is very funny. He says it's like The Godfather. You can't refuse a request on a man's wedding day. And he says, so he says, no, it's the other way around. I should ask him a request that he can't refuse. And Chris said, well, did you?
Very
you
funny.
Should ask him not to do this.
It's very funny. It's, like I said, like a little Abbott and Costello stuff.
Very funny.
Terry's a very funny guy and a funny writer. Every Terry Winter episode, you know it's going to be funny.
It's always funny.
You know, Fido and his family leave.
Yeah, he blames the crab cakes for making him sick. Well, they don't keep him.
Why do you think he leaves? This is upsetting him too much? It's on his mind? What do you think? He's starting to think what? He wants to go what?
I think it's making him depressed. Yeah.
Is it making him depressed or
making
him horny? Is it making him horny going, I got to go,
I think
I got to go out later. I got to go dancing. I got to put on a cap and go dancing, leather.
I think he's depressed. And he just
depressed?
He doesn't want to be there.
I'm going to, you know, one of the deputies said, "John, you're going to have to wrap this up."
Now the cutting of the cake, yeah, this is a bit, the photo op basically when they smash the cake.
Jesus Christ, you're fucking kidding me! Deputy, I'm out front in 20. It's transportation time. Heartless pricks. I mean, they are really by the book here. They're being tough.
Hey, he's lucky he got to go to the wedding. You
Absolutely,
know what I mean?
I'm just saying, but they don't care.
I think part of it's to humiliate him.
I
think that's deliberate.
DeVito's wife doesn't want to leave. John's upset. Okay, at least could we stay for a piece of cake, which I'm sure he can. You know what I mean? And it's got to be upset. This is it. He's going to jail for 15 years. This is it. Maybe it would have been better you don't even go.
Wait, but is he convicted? He didn't go to trial yet, did he?
No, but I think that
he's facing 15 years, yeah.
15 years, John cries, right? I mean, are they outside yet?
Well, they go outside. He's emotional at first in the room with the cutting of the cake. Now they're outside. So he did make it to the end of the wedding. Allegra says, "You came this close to making your goal, Mom. Thank you, Dad." And then
they're going to Hawaii.
Phil Leotardo says, "Say hi to Don Ho."
Who I knew. I told you that.
You knew Don Ho, right?
I lived in Hawaii in 1985.
Now, you lived with him, didn't you, in his house?
I didn't live with Don Ho. I did not.
You told me. I have that in my notes right here. It says Steve lived with Don Ho. I have it here.
Don Ho lived with numerous women, girls.
But didn't you live in his guest house in Hawaii?
I did not live in his guest house.
Well, where did I get this from?
Because you're a fucking lunatic. That's why.
I have it here on the sheet.
I think you must, when you do your meditation, do you burn incense?
No, I don't burn anything.
Well, it's going into your fucking head. I think that's what's happening.
So you didn't live in his guest house?
Don Ho used to come up to the restaurant a lot, enjoyed a cocktail, was a superstar in Hawaii, and got quite big here. Remember, he had a big variety show.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away. He had a show at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, the Don Ho Show. In Hawaii, they have a lot of entertainers that are just famous there.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of entertainers, a lot of the tourists go to the shows, and Henry Capono is terrific, a terrific guy, and he's kind of a very well-known entertainer. He's been in a lot of movies, and when you think of Hawaii and Hawaiian music, which I like, Henry Capono's a guy. But Don Ho was beloved over there.
Yeah.
So they're on their way to Hawaii. Phil gets a big laugh out of that. He's resisting a little, John. The marshal says, "Don't let me have to tell you again." John starts bawling.
Well, the marshals first come and cut them off. Which is they make a big show of it. Yeah. They cut off the limo.
Everyone's outside.
Come out. It's very embarrassing.
It's not necessary. Tony,
he's like, "Just let my daughter leave and then take me away." And he breaks down, blubbering.
Yeah.
Phil is watching this very closely. Ginny faints.
But Tony says, "Come on," and then Phil even says, "Is that necessary?" Ginny falls down like a ton of bricks.
Well, yeah, well, Phil says is that necessary before Johnny starts crying. Once he starts crying, Phil ain't defending him anymore.
Phil stares. I think the marshals are a little out of line here. Come on, a little bit.
Well, they want to show him who's boss.
Yeah. And listen, another thing is, Tony mentions early in the reception, he alludes to, "Hey, I told you not to take the job."
He does. The pressure and the scrutiny.
He says, "I told you, it could have been Rusty. Rusty turned it down.
Correct.
Little Carmine turned it down. John, because of his fucking ego, he wanted it, and look where he is.
Because you're the lightning rod.
And he's facing a lot of years. And Tony tells him, in no uncertain terms, I told you not to take the job. It's okay to be number 2 or 3. All right? We're in the reception hall. Tony, Silvio, Paulie, Christopher, Phil, Carlo, and Albie. John Sacrimoni is a man my estimation of him just plummeted.
Crying like a woman. This is a disgrace. Paulie says his coach turned into a pumpkin.
Tony is the only one that sticks up for him. Will you give him a break? It's an emotional day.
But Phil says, hey, if they can make him cry and he's that weak, what the fuck else can they make him do? And Christopher says, I got to agree with Phil.
Yeah. Tony
Again,
says
they're questioning Tony's authority.
Tony says when it comes to daughters, all bets are off. Christopher is dumber than a fucking box of rocks, it seems.
Well, the point in these scenes, though, is that he's challenging Tony.
I see a lot of you and Christopher in these scenes.
You think that I'm dumb as a box of rocks?
No, I don't think you're dumb as a box of rocks, but I just say I see a little of Michael in Christopher in some of these scenes.
In what way?
You have wacky ideas, as does Christopher.
I just read in my notes that you lived in his guest house.
I didn't live in Don Ho's guest house.
I don't know where that came from. I told
you that.
I heard he had a great guest house with a pool and everything.
I went to a wedding.
A butler.
Where they played the wedding song was Into the Mystic, and you're telling me I didn't hear that? What the fuck?
Hey.
We're at Vito's house. Marie's watching TV.
She's watching Imitation of Life, 1959 film with Lana Turner. Douglas Sirk, a great filmmaker, also made the movie All That Heaven Allows. This movie, Imitation of Life, was very far ahead of its time, dealing with class and race relations. He was one of the favorite directors of Fassbinder. But
do you think there's a reason that she's watching this?
Yeah, there's a certain... it's a bit of a melodrama romance, especially in that scene, and she's kind of watching it, kind of almost wishing
gotcha.
the guy in the movie was saying the things to her. That's what it seems like the point is there.
Lizzie Bracco, who plays, we've talked about it before, plays Lorraine. It's Lorraine Bracco's sister. She's great. She's just very understated. Perfect example of less is more.
She's great, yeah.
Just less is more. Very real. Not trying to do nothing. Not over the top. Just
being honest.
Things are distant between them. She wished it was more. She really loves Vito.
Well, she was having a good time, and they had to leave the wedding.
Yeah.
Which was, it was a big, for a lot of people, it's a big deal to go to a wedding. It's a big night out.
People love
it.
Me and you are the exceptions.
No, and this is a big affair. It's an expensive wedding. It's fancy.
Love these weddings. They love the weddings.
Especially something like this. This is a very expensive, probably, the food is probably great.
You go to, some of these places, they got, the cocktail hour alone. Clams and lobster and shrimp and just the over the top.
Filet mignon. And,
incredible for the cocktail hour. Then you go, there's a choice of 6 entrees.
Pasta.
And all this stuff. And you've eaten and eaten and eaten. And then they come out with the breakfast.
The Viennese table, the dessert first, which is like another buffet of just sweets, coffees,
sweets, cookies,
liqueurs, after dinner drinks.
And then some places have the cigars.
And then
pancakes.
Breakfast at like 2 a.m, and like they would give you the next day.
Bagels.
Sunday New York Times if it was a Saturday night wedding.
That's right. Yeah. And bagels to go. Bagels and cream cheese to go for when you get home or in the morning. I mean, it is like soup to nuts. The cocktail hour alone could be it. I mean, there's eating upon eating upon eating.
No.
It really is way over the top. So there are people that love it,
And Vito says he's going out to make collections. She said, I thought you're sick. He says, go to bed. It's there's a lot of tension there, obviously.
Soprano bedroom, Carmelo and Tony are in bed. We have been very lucky, Tony, the house, the kids, what we just went to at the hospital. You make your own luck in life.
What does that mean? What do you think he means by that?
I think Tony is, I think he's kind of arrogant here. I think he's saying you could control your destiny.
He's talking about Johnny Sack being in jail. Yeah.
Part of it, yeah. I mean, he didn't have to be the boss,
right. And he's a New York boss, which is a lot more scrutiny than even being a Jersey boss, right?
You make your own luck. listen, there's, with any job, anywhere, anything, there's a certain amount of luck involved. We know this.
Sure.
Right place at the
Timing.
right time. You have to, right place at the right time, but you still have to deliver the goods.
You have to kind of create the circumstances for that to happen, right?
Yeah, but when it does happen, you better be ready.
You better be ready.
Better be ready. You're going to get the opportunity, whatever that is. I don't care what job it is, where, whatever. The best restaurant in town, you want that waiter job. It's a big job. You better be ready. There's an opening. You better be there. You better do your best. You better be fucking prepared,
Yeah.
100%. They're not going to keep you.
100%.
And I think Tony's feeling a little of that. A little cocky in a way here. Hey, Johnny Sack, he fucked up.
Yeah.
Prison, John changes into the orange jumpsuit.
He's turning into a pumpkin.
Exactly.
That's what I got from that, no?
Yeah. That really must be terrible. You just had this incredible affair, saw your daughter off, your friends.
The big boss, everybody kissing his ring, and now he's just another, guy in an orange jumpsuit. Yeah.
Terrible. All right, we're in a gay bar. Wise guy number 1, number 2 walk up to the bar. They're looking to collect from the bartender.
What do you think they're collecting? Drug deals? Or do they own, sometimes, back in the day, in the 70s, the mob owned a lot of gay bars. They still may. I don't know.
I'm going to say here, maybe a Shylock. He borrowed money for whatever.
Gambling?
Either gambling or just needed the money. Well, for whatever. Whatever the guy does, he needs money, and he went to a Shylock to get it. I don't think this is a drug deal. I think, he owes them money. They pays them every week.
Right, because if it was, what I said was stupid. If it was mob-owned, Vito wouldn't go there.
I don't think they own everything. At one point, I think they did. I don't think in 2006 they did.
Nor would Vito go to that.
Yeah.
If that was the case.
Listen, he's taking a huge chance anyway. You go out of state. I don't know. Honestly. He's got a fix here that he needs to. He's got an itch.
Unless subconsciously he wanted to get out of the life. Maybe this, being public was a way of almost forcing his own hand so he could, live the life he wanted to live.
Listen, there's a comic, not famous, but semi-famous, and he would go to Europe all the time. He was in the closet. People knew.
I know, but I'm saying Vito maybe, subconsciously wanting this to happen so he can leave this life behind.
Maybe so, but he's in Jersey, which is kind of.
Well, we don't know that. It might be New York City.
Okay, that's a good point. I don't know. The reason I'm saying that, are these guys coming into New York City to collect guys from Jersey that Vito knows? It's not explained.
They might not. Yeah, it could
be New York guys. I don't know.
You're right. It could be wherever. You're right.
So Vito,
that's a good point.
Vito's dancing.
There's a guy with chaps on. You never wore, even in your disco days, you didn't wear chaps, did you?
That was not a good look. I tried them, but not a good look.
When you rode a horse, you wore chaps.
You can't wear chaps if you have a hairy ass. That doesn't work. Any guy that I ever seen in chaps, they have smooth asses.
Is that a rule of thumb?
That's my rule of thumb.
That's your rule
hairy ass, no chaps, boys. All right? Vito is dancing. He says, he's dancing, and he's into it, man.
He's having a great time.
I got to tell you, I give Joe a lot of credit. He went for it. He went all in here. He's having a great time. He's
having a lot of fun.
He's dancing. He's got a smile from ear to ear. He's got the cruising cap on, and he's in leather. He's in leather.
He's having a really good time.
He's having a good time. I don't know, where do you think he hides that outfit? In the trunk of his car.
Oh, maybe.
Very dangerous. Where do you hide that? He doesn't have it like in his closet like Superman had. Remember Superman? He had like a closet behind the closet, and he kept the costumes.
Did he really? I don't know.
Yeah. In the Superman, the TV show, he had like a false wall, and he had the uniforms, 2 or 3 uniforms in there, capes and shit. Maybe Vito, where's he hide the chaps?
That's a good point.
All right. So Vito's dancing. What's a guy got to do to get a drink around here? Buy you a drink around here. They kiss. And then these two guys come in. Wise guy 1, wise guy 2. And the guy is great when he calls Vito out on it. It's a small
Vito says, it's a joke. I was here. It's a joke, which is... That's not gonna fly.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Don't say nothing, Sal. Don't say nothing.
He knows they're gonna say something. He knows he's.
Well, how could you not? Because the guy is looking at Vito with disdain. They said earlier that I skeeved these places. So they're obviously homophobic. They're in there. They don't like what they see at all. And here's Vito, a made guy, dancing. I mean, it's almost as shocking as when Vito picked his head up blowing the guy.
Sure.
It's almost as shocking.
To them, it is, yeah.
And he's having a ball, Vito.
Not anymore.
No pun intended.
Not anymore. Now he's terrified.
Terrified. He tells the guy, leave me the fuck alone. The guy he was dancing with, Vito, he grabs the gun, kisses his wife. I'm going to take a shower. He checks into a motel.
The Maple Shade Motel in Ramsey, New Jersey. The Three Bells, also known as Little Jimmy Brown song, that plays. We heard that in the last episode, Fleshy Part of the Thigh. It's a 3-part song about Little Jimmy Brown, born and married and died. In the last episode, we heard the verse where they talk about him being born. In this episode, we hear about Little Jimmy Brown being married. It's a very sad... Something kind of haunted about this song and sad. It's a really good choice of music.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
And then he calls Silvio fishing, kind of on trying to sniff out if Silvio knows by now that he was spotted in this gay bar.
It's 2:51 a.m. Silvio's wife answers the phone. Silvio not happy, but I'm surprised he didn't yell at him more. So just, instead of what do you hear, what do you say? He says, what do you know, what do you say? It's 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. Is Tony all right? That's why I'm calling you, checking in. Last I saw, he was having dessert. Vito says, call me if you need anything.
Silvio don't know what the hell's going on.
It's his toupee is a little askew. Silvio.
He's got bedhead.
A little bit, yes. Yes, he does.
Vito, and then there's that shot of Vito looking at the gun.
I think Vito's thinking about killing himself.
I would think he certainly is there, yes.
He's thinking about killing himself.
He's very worried. He knows he could be killed very easily.
This is bad. This is bad.
In this world, yes.
They are not going to keep this on the DL here, Melfi's office, it's subtle, but since I've been back, I've been noticing certain looks, people questioning my judgment where they never did before. He's talking about Christopher, for sure.
Phil Leotardo a bit.
A bit. Maybe Johnny Stack a bit. He thinks Tony's weak now. He sees the guys bumping into each other, thinking that he's not the man he used to be. So you're getting a little bit
and they're my friends, but they're also jackals, these guys, some of these guys, which is true. He says, well, in a perfect world, I'd relax and let them think what they want. And here's the line that you like. People see what you allow them to see. Project an image of strength, which Tony takes to heart and says, thank you for the advice.
I think it's a great line. And it's a true line. I know you're in a disagreement mode this episode, but it's a great line. If Tony doesn't act weak, they won't know he's weak. Period. The pork store.
Now you're playing basketball with Jason, played by Willie DeMeo, right? Now, is that Bacala playing basketball or Steve? I want to know that.
That's Steve playing basketball.
Because you look pretty damn good on that basketball court. You look like you know what you're doing, and you look like you can move really well.
You were shooting around earlier.
Now, you did all your own stuff there. There's no stunt man.
There's no stunt man.
Because you look like you can play.
I could play. I had lost some weight. It was fairly early.
But you're moving really well.
Yeah, I could move. I played. I played in college. I told you that.
But you look really good, and then he looks, and you leap up in the air and slam dunk the basketball. It's incredible.
There you go. We were shooting around before, don't you remember? I don't think Sirico did. He doesn't like basketball.
No, I'm not good at basketball. I can't play.
No, but you were shooting around. Jim was shooting around. You were shooting around. Willie DeMeo, we were fucking around a little bit. You know?
Was that, how high was that rim? That was a regulation, wasn't it?
I'm going to confess.
No, don't confess. Keep the illusion. What's a NBA rim at?
10 feet.
10 feet. And what was that? That was close. 9, right? 9.5?
9.5.
9.5. Amazing.
9.5. Pork store, all right. So Tony comes out of the car.
Paulie's got the reflector, which is very bad, apparently, for the health, for skin. For your
you don't
skin,
see them around. But when in the 70s, all over New York, you use that.
It was huge.
Huge. They must have sold millions of those things. Those reflectors, get the sun in your face. So people use them in the winter also. You get that reflection off of that thing, you get a tan.
Very dangerous, though, right?
People, yeah, of course. But people also used to use
baby oil,
iodine, and baby oil.
But iodine colors you, right?
Yeah, no.
Iodine stains you.
Yeah, iodine. There was all these wacky fucking things, olive oil and all this shit. But remember when people used to use the lamps?
Oh yeah, tanning lamp, whatever they called it. It was terrible. I don't mean the ones like you go into a tanning salon now. These were like a lamp. You would sit there, fucking that'd be burn
terrible.
Yourself. Yeah,
terrible. So Tony asks Bobby what he weighs. He says about 265. He looks at Paulie Walnuts, his bicep. He's looking around Tony. He's got it in his mind. He's going to test somebody. He's going to do it here.
He's figuring out who he's going to challenge.
He walks in the back room. He's looking at Dante. He asks about Vito. He says, I called him twice. He never called me back. So he says he called me the other night, 3 a.m. He's looking around. Is it going to be Paulie? Is it going to be Dante? He's stewing inside Tony.
And then he thinks the biggest statement would be to beat up Perry because he's obviously the toughest of the bunch. He turns his ring around. Now, is that so he doesn't really hurt him that bad?
Yeah,
he turns a stone so he doesn't cut up his face too bad.
He says he's looking to prove a point. He's checking out who he's going to do. One thing, he comes up with some bullshit thing, you
slam the refrigerator door.
Slam the refrigerator. I didn't even know the Coke was over there. So you're going to argue with me, you fucking mutt? And he kind of sucker punches him.
That's a sucker punch.
He goes like this, he sucker punches him, and Perry goes after him, which you can't hit a boss.
Not only can you not hit a boss, they won't interfere.
No.
Until the boss is done with the beating. Right?
Well,
None of them. You can't interfere because the boss got to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, but what I did like, a look on the face. I tell you what I did like. What I did like, Michael, was the guys were a little disgusted by it. Paulie, Bobby.
Because it's out of nowhere.
It was like, what are you doing?
Even if he did slam the refrigerator, which apparently he didn't. Yeah. Is that enough of a reason to beat this guy's brain?
I mean, no one would say anything like, what the fuck you doing, Tony? But it's like, oh, what's going on here? And Perry's going to go after him. That's a death sentence. You can't hit a boss. You got to sit there and take the fucking beating.
Yeah. And he does.
And Tony goes into the bathroom.
Some cool shots in the bathroom, that cool high overhead shot looking down.
Is he really smiling? Is Tony smiling?
At the end, he smiles.
He smiles. I got
picks up blood, and then he looks in the window. He smiles. I got my mojo back, and then he pukes again pukes up the blood. Jim's great in this sequence of events from the time he pulls up. I love what he does here.
Yeah.
His acting's really good.
Good episode. I like this.
Very good episode. A good, because we took some detours while he was in the hospital. Interesting ones, but a good return to form again. Back with the mob stuff, back with the inner workings. Really well done.
I like. There's a lot going on, and a lot of good stuff. I mean, the Vito stuff is heating up.
Yeah, big time. Oh, yeah. Stakes are getting very high.
Have you ever gone to a gay bar in leather and danced?
Never in leather.
Have you danced with a man?
Not in a gay bar.
Not in a gay bar.
No. But
not that there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, I've danced, I think, as a joke with a guy or something at a bar or something. I don't know. Maybe. But Victoria and I used to once in a while go. There was some gay bars we used to go in the Village to dance sometimes.
I've been to.
They played really good music.
Bars in Vegas. Called the big gay bar in Vegas at the time was the Gypsy.
The Gypsy. We used to go to dance at the Monster, which is still there on Sheridan Square. Where else did we go? I mean, some of the discos weren't exclusively gay, but they were, some big ones where we used to go dancing. But a lot of times we'd hang, a lot of the people from our bar, when it would close, if we closed a little early, we'd go to the Rawhide, which was on 8th Avenue.
Yeah, I don't think
that was open late, and it would open at 8. So if you were out all night...
It worked 8 in the morning.
Yeah, if you were out all night, if you went to after hours.
Oh, wow. So there was leftovers.
So some of the people who worked at our bar were gay and went to a lot of gay bars. So we'd, all hang out and wind up at the Rawhide at 8 in the morning if you were out all night.
Oof. I mean, any bar that opens at 8. That's like the Shark Bar, Spring Lounge. They open at 8. You know, which means, they close at 4:30. It's only a few hours there,
Yeah. That's Rawhide was around the corner from our bar, but that closed. Right. I don't think it's there anymore.
A really good episode. Terry did a great job as always, Steve Buscemi. And despite your insane things you talk about,
what insane things? What are you talking about? Into the Mystic? I don't think that was a wedding song.
It was a wedding song for a wedding that I went to.
What kind of wedding was it?
You didn't go. I went.
But what kind of wedding was it? It wasn't a. Was it
It was a friend of my wife's. Her and her husband.
And where was it?
Cocktail waitress.
Where was this wedding?
The Gold Coast Casino.
Oh, in a casino.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So what the fuck? I got married in a fucking casino. What's that got to do with anything?
Well, you were an executive.
It's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of the AMA Best Question is Geordie from Exeter, UK. And we're sending Geordie a pair of Bose headphones.
Geordie asks, The Sopranos opened my eyes to a world and culture that we know very little about over here in the UK. Has a British show or film ever done the same for you? Well, we spoke of The Office. We had Ricky here recently. Mm-hmm. I said that was one of my favorite shows, and Afterlife as well. I also spoke way back about a show that I love called The Royal Family, which takes place in Manchester. But, when I was a kid, I loved Benny Hill. Did you watch Benny Hill?
Yeah, I like Benny Hill. I used to watch Benny Hill. My first agent's father was Benny Hill's agent.
Did you know Benny Hill?
No, but I think Benny Hill. I don't think he was the guy that we saw on screen. As a matter of fact, I think when he died, and Andy, check this for me. Put down the fucking drink and check something out for me. I think Benny Hill. It took 2 weeks. No one knew he was dead.
Why?
Found him in his apartment. He was a loner.
He wasn't a funny guy in real life.
I don't think so. I could be completely off, and people from the UK will tell me, I'm sure. But Andy, just check that. I think it was like 2 weeks before anyone found him. Now, if you died, someone would find you.
I hope so.
Before 2 weeks. Right?
Well, you would, because we'd be doing the podcast probably.
And I would say, where the fuck is Michael? Then I got to go over your apartment, knock on the door.
And you'd have to do this without me, which would be very hard.
Everyone, he had been dead for 2 days. Not 2 weeks. All right. But 2 days, that's not really that long. 2 days, if you don't have a wife, 2 days is nothing.
No. What about, I used to love Monty Python. That was a great show.
I didn't love that. I liked it. I didn't love that.
Faulty Towers? Did you like that? John Cleese? I love that show.
I didn't. I like Afterlife a lot. I like Ricky Gervais's stuff.
Extras? You like that?
It was okay. Extras. It was okay. I don't watch. I know there's a lot of great shows.
I like
Peaky Blinders, right? Is a great one.
I never saw that. I like Dr. Foster with Saran Jones. She's really good. She also had a detective show called Scott and Bailey, which I liked. I like a lot of their detective stuff. DCI Banks, the Poirot, Hercule Poirot mysteries at what's his name? David Suchet. He did Midsummer Murders is good. Happy Valley is a great show. I don't think it was a few years back, a great police drama, really good, with Sarah Lancashire. National Treasure with Robbie Coltrane. So
you watch a lot of UK shows.
I love British television.
Next to none, and I also don't. They're wonderful actors. I just don't. I have a very weird taste in TV. You know that. I watch all kinds of crazy shit. You know what I've been watching though, which I like. Silicon Valley. I know I'm late to the game.
That's a good show.
The show is off the air, but I've been watching a lot of those. That's a funny show, quirky show, but I have a crazy taste. I like, what's the name of it? On HGTV, Vacation Home Rentals. That's one of my favorite shows.
But that's a reality show, right?
Well, they fix up, they go to people's houses, they own cottages in Ontario, Canada, and they fix them up, make them better to get rental income. I don't know why I like it, but I like it. The two hosts are great, and I happen to like it. I think it's Vacation Home Rentals. And it's very good. I got a weird taste in shit, all kinds of...
And they make vacation homes.
They remodel vacation homes. I like that. I like Food That Built America. There's another one, guys, Men That Built America.
Oh, I like Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of
I think that show's amazing. I mean, because those places he goes, they're all, individual, people who, they're not corporate restaurants. They're people doing interesting things. Some of them are family-owned businesses for generations. Some of them are, unique ideas, people kind of doing really interesting things. I love that show.
And I'll tell you this about that show. If you're lucky enough for him to visit your show, business explodes.
Yeah, that's what I love about it, because these small business owners, they get a lot of attention, and they deserve it. Some of them do really innovative things and really, really good stuff.
Or they went to the Fonties. Are you familiar with the Fonties?
Yeah.
The Fonties,
sandwiches.
Great sandwich shop, 100 years it's there in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and they went there. And so many people discovered the Fonties, even it's so popular, but a new generation of people from all over the world just being on the Diners Drive.
Yeah, that's a great, I love that show.
I've been watching Barbecue Brawl.
No, I don't like
Bobby
that.
Flay. What, did you see it?
I have seen a little bit of it.
I like it.
Me.
I like it.
About British shows, there was that Two Fat Ladies. Did you ever see that?
No.
They ride on a little motorcycle with a sidecar, and they go around England, and they talk about food. That was a good show. I think one of them passed away.
I did see that. I know what you're talking about. I did see that.
Yeah.
I also, why do you make fun of the shows that I watch?
Who made fun of it?
Well, you were saying that.
I said I didn't like it.
Barbecue
Make
Brawl.
fun of it.
You didn't even watch the fucking show.
I didn't say I didn't laugh at it. I said I don't like it. I have to like it.
You got any more? Go ahead. Keep going. I have a friend of mine's a British actor in these shows.
What's his name?
Johnny Vegas. He's a comedian.
Whitechapel, that's a good one. That was a good show.
A lot of times I can't understand the accents.
Sometimes
I'm a little hard of hearing, so I got to put closed caption on.
Maybe they don't understand ours.
They probably don't understand me. And I have closed caption right now on so I could hear what the fuck you're saying.
There was at one point during The Sopranos, I was with Jim in the trailer, and they brought, someone knocked on the door, they brought a video. And they said, so now it's like maybe season 5, 4, well into the run. And they said, Jim, we're having trouble understanding you lately. So Jim puts in this video, and it was a bunch of clips from recent episodes where Jim, particularly when he would talk fast or when he was angry, where you couldn't understand what he was saying because of his accent and his delivery and his inflection, and we were hysterical watching this. But they were kind of serious, drawing it to his attention, saying, you got to pay attention a little more and enunciate. But there was definitely moments where it was really hard to understand him.
I could understand that, especially when you can't hear, I mean, honestly, even when I'm working with someone, you got to speak up, man, I just can't.
Well, there's a lot of actors, I'm not going to mention any names.
Why not?
Who kind of think...
Why don't you mention the name?
See, in my tradition, where I come from, we don't, rat people out. We don't expose people. We keep things,
So you're a pussy.
Keep a lid on things.
You're a pussy.
No, that's a code. It's a code of honor that we don't gossip and use names.
I don't gossip.
It's kind of a mob thing.
I don't gossip. I just say if a guy's a prick, I call it like it is. I call it like I fucking see it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
There's no problem. But what's the problem? What's the problem?
Getting back, here's my point. Some actors, usually ones that aren't very good, think that by being really quiet, somehow it creates menace or intensity. So you'll see them in a scene and they'll be delivering lines like, well, I think that's very good. And I think that's the way it should be done. Now, nobody in life really talks that way. And if they do talk that way, like if you went into a store or you had a waiter or you go to the doctor's office and they're talking to you like that, you're thinking that you're going to think they're psychotic. But you notice, go watch movies and you'll see there's certain actors, that's how they deliver lines.
Tell me one.
I'm not going to tell you one. It's not my style, Steve. It is not my style.
All right.
I got to tell all these people listening to this podcast, I don't need to reveal stuff to them.
Why not? These are our fans. That's what this podcast is all about. We put our cards and our balls on the table.
No.
Jordy from Exeter,
that's not how I do it.
Enjoy your Bose headphones. Bose. Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook. Right now, merchandise, Talking Sopranos, as we wind down. Get your Talking Sopranos merch. Wear it around town. Show it off. They still have T-shirts with my name bigger than Michael's, the way it should be. Go to TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel.
They have lots of those, the ones where your name is bigger, tons of them. Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Producers Andy Verderom. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You could hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I playing together. Our shows at the Mercury Lounge on August 13th and 14th, unfortunately, are sold out.
What do you mean, unfortunately? That's a good thing.
Well, if people want to come, they can.
Do a third show.
We're not doing a third show. Maybe in the future. Well, it is a good thing. Production crew includes Ty Verderom and Sierra Schirripa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting, New York's premier podcast studio. Talking Sopranos is a PodJams production.
Okay, pal. It was mediocre talking to you today.
Why? I thought I had a wonderful time.
And I will see
I'm
you
sorry
next
if
week.
I didn't live up to your standards, but I had a damn good time. As I always do. I have no regrets.
I will see you next week. Peace out, brother.